seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always, so you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Magnifico.
Your best defense against erosion and cavities is strong enamel. Nothing beats it. I recommend Pronamel Active Shield because it actively shields the enamel to defend against erosion and cavities. I think that this product is a game changer for my patients.
Try Pronamel mouthwash.
Watch the Yankees Hyundai Sunday Game of the Week, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. There's never been a better time to test drive that Hyundai you've always wanted. Hyundai, there's joy in every journey. Visit HyundaiUSA.com today.
If anyone knows the joy of rescuing animals, it's me. Just ask my rescues, who are all very important members of my family. Your life can also be forever changed by adopting a shelter pet. And it's not just about happiness your pet gets from finding a loving home, but that which you'll get from bringing them into your life. The heroes at American Humane have been helping animals for more than 140 years, whether it's rescuing animals caught in disasters, ensuring the safety of animal stars on the screen, or protecting our planet's endangered species. They go above and beyond to further their mission and make the world a kinder place for animals. Please consider adopting a shelter pet and support American Humane. You can learn more at AmericanHumane.org.
I'm an actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
Joining us on this Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, Michael K., Don LaGreca, and Peter Rosenberg taking you till 6:30.
All right.
A lot of stuff going on. It's a hot day. Don's wearing shorts. I didn't see Peter. Shorts, too?
Yeah, I just was with Bart and Han the whole way, shorts.
Yeah.
I
never been a proponent of that.
Yeah,
Your work.
But these are nice. I'm not wearing gym shorts. These are nice shorts.
Doesn't matter. You're at work.
No, dude, that's just a made-up rule. We have no rules here.
Yeah, that's
so this is the Outback. No rules. Just right.
Just right. Exactly, Michael.
I think the bloomin' onion's overrated.
No, I disagree.
I think you're out of your mind.
Well, listen, it's just my opinion.
See, the problem is Don is wrong here.
Yes.
But you didn't help me because now Michael disagreeing with you is...
Yeah.
I know wants to be on Michael's side with food. But, Michael, do you ever wear shorts?
Around the house, or if I'm around the town.
Like to grocery store.
Never to work, ever. I've never, ever wanted to work. It's a disrespect to your job.
But we have let's full disclosure, because I'm in that mood. Some days we don't come in at all, so it doesn't matter what we do. We're here. I'm wearing shorts. You don't like it, tough.
You know what? When I do the show from my house.
You wear pants?
I wear pants. I don't wear my shorts.
On principle.
That's a lie.
Because I'm telling you, I never wear shorts when I'm doing the show at home. It's work.
Oh, my God.
Do you realize what you're saying?
I mean, you're not a ball boy at the U.S. Open. I'm sorry, you don't wear shorts.
That's the only job where you could wear shorts?
Have some respect for the position. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's a radio show.
I get it, but we're also on TV.
Not our legs.
I've got a nice shirt on. It's a nice shirt.
Listen, you guys do what you want.
No, I'm going to do what I want.
You do. My opinion is you disrespecting the position by coming in as if you're going swimming.
My opinion is that you're a mental patient.
Well,
if by the way, who would swim in these shorts? These are not swimming trunks. They're.
I'm wearing a belt. I mean, these are nice shorts. No, seriously, look.
Let me see. Let me see what Don's doing. Come around over here. I want to take a look at you.
Cargo shorts.
I want to take you in.
That's not for work. You're wearing cargo
No,
shorts.
that is an appropriate summer outfit.
He could have a hand grenade in there. He's got cargo shorts on.
I got cargos too, Don.
No, okay. Well, first of all, you're about 2 years back in terms of style.
No, they're
You
back.
don't wear
Cargos are back.
No.
How would I trust you? You don't even wear shorts.
So cargo pants would be okay, but
No, cargo pants are not okay.
Cargo
either.
pants would be a bigger risk than cargo shorts.
Listen,
I'm
you
sorry,
guys
it's 90
be what you
degrees
want.
outside.
What-
I'm wearing.
Well, I'm not wearing corduroy.
I'm wearing sneakers that cost more than any outfit I've ever worn combined.
Yeah,
The
Peter
ones
gave it to you for
Peter
free.
gave it to me for
No
free.
need to say that.
Why? But because Peter's a giver.
I'm not.
No, you're a taker. More honestly, no, listen, you give a lot, but you take more.
Well, you know what? I'm proud to take.
Some say he never gives ever.
Well, no, I would never say that. He's a very generous person.
No, he's down a different road than you've done. He's down a different.
Come on, Don.
That's what he's talking about.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hitch on to Peter's wagon on that road.
Yeah.
that road is newly paved and very comfortable ride.
You know what? I'm getting new T-shirts printed out for me.
Yeah.
I really am.
What do they say?
How's it working out?
How's it working out?
All right. How's it working
That's
out?
how's it working out for us? We do
everything's-
the exact opposite.
Everything's great. Well, you're like Costanza.
No,
Do the
listen, hold
exact
on. Just to be clear, if it was a work event,
Right.
well, I'm going to the garden and there's clients, and I would not wear shorts.
Let me ask you a question. We do this show pretty much in an abandoned warehouse.
Correct.
There's nobody here.
Correct.
Well, what if, like, Jimmy Pitaro had an office here? Would you come in
He
in
does.
shorts?
What do you mean? What if he-
And
what-
on this floor,
Oh.
would you come in shorts?
If on a
Burke Magnus is here. Would you come in shorts?
on a regular work day,
Yeah. You would
No,
not.
but wait a
On a
minute.
regular
You're
work day, I
throwing out names that don't mean anything to me.
They run ESPN.
No, but they don't mean I don't interact with them. I have just as much, if not more, respect for Justin Craig, who's now a VP, John Winthrop, who's the program director. I still come in shorts, not disrespecting them.
I think
so
you
I would
are.
do the same thing. I'm comfortable. I'm well dressed. You've made up this kind of myth that shorts, for some reason, are disrespectful.
I'm not a
Go
short
live
guy.
in your world.
And I do. That's why I have on beautiful Lululemon khakis.
But why can't you
My
just
God.
live in that world and just say, this is my world, that's your world? Why do you?
Because
why
I
do you-
want you in my world.
Why do you have to keep score?
You're the one who brought up you wearing shorts.
Yeah, and you're the one that brought up that it was disrespectful
I'll
to the
say-
company.
I don't agree with Michael, but I'll say this. I wish I had one place my wardrobe is lacking is between jeans and slacks.
You got to go Lululemon. Look at these. These are terrific.
You know what? I'm not mad at what Michael's wearing.
No.
And there is a
And you know who
Lululemon
turned-
right here on the
you know
down
who
the
turned me
street.
on to Lululemon?
Well, it has
pants?
to be a woman.
No, it's Mike Breen. He said, I'm telling you, they're
Well,
the best
okay,
things
a
to
man
wear.
who has the waistline of a woman. That is a thin, in shape man. That's a man who can wear a Lululemon pant.
Well, you know what? I'm pulling it off. I don't have a 28 waistline.
Yeah, he does.
He's not as thin as you think.
Oh, he's a thin man.
He is not a thin.
That's-
Don't make
No,
him out to be a thin
he's
man.
a rail.
Mike Breen is
Okay.
he's a dream. This is a man who
All of this, I agree with you, but he's not. He's not as
well,
thin
hold on,
as
you're
you
just
think.
no. You're just trying in your perpetual need to kiss up to everyone you know. You're worried I might be insulting him. Please, he's my hero. The man can walk into a store and go, "Hey, what's the mannequin wearing? I'll wear that out." I mean, that's what you dream of.
Okay.
But I didn't know at Lululemon, people who are shaped closer to us could find a pantaloon that works for us.
Of course it. Well, you're making me out to be an egg. I'm not an egg.
You're Egg of Jays.
I am not. I have a terrific build.
Take your clothes off. Show us something right now. We're on 880. It's a new day.
Let's start talking about the Jets, shall we? Because
Sure, why
they
not?
don't go to work in shorts.
Well, yeah, they do.
Well, the coaches do, and it's disgraceful, frankly.
Well, no, and the players do before they're in pads. A lot of times you see them wearing the little shorts and the you know.
Again, a bad look. Anyway, Hassan Reddick's still not in camp. Still not in camp. And you just wonder, what's the end game? Robert Saleh spoke about it if he's going to reach out to Hassan Reddick.
Will you or have you made an attempt to reach out to Reddick just in an attempt to resolve the situation before the season starts?
No, I've just been focusing on the guys that have been here.
Now, he was also asked, could there be a path for Reddick to be ready for week one?
Yeah, well, depending on, I'm assuming he's in phenomenal shape. Like I said, he's a veteran. He knows what he needs to get ready. He's had success in multiple buildings and multiple schemes, multiple coaching staffs, and so he's going to know what he needs to do to be ready for week one. So he still has plenty of time.
All right, here's my biggest fear with this guy, and it would be the worst thing that could happen to the Jets, and it's something that has to be. It's a loophole that has to be closed in the basic agreement. All Reddick has to do He'll be available for 6 games. Then he gets a year of work, and he's eligible to be a total free agent. All he needs is to play 6 games. That means he could stiff the Jets for 11 games, show up and play the final 6, and become a free agent. Now, you could say, well, he's not going to put up the numbers that he would to get a big free agent deal. If he doesn't get hurt, they're still going to remember that he's Hassan Reddick. This has been handled so clumsily by both sides. Number 1, Joe Douglas. Why make a deal unless you have an assurance the guy's coming in? Number 2, by Reddick. What's your end game, dude? What's your end game? You know how much money you're losing? If you just play 6 games this year, has he read the Le'Veon Bell story? Is he familiar with what happened with Le'Veon Bell, who played this stupid game and never came out of it okay, never made the money back? What's the end game for both sides? The Jets are being tough. Hassan Reddick is being kind of short-sighted. What's the end game for these two?
I don't get it. I mean, both sides, to me, are culpable in this. More so Reddick because of the fact that I don't know what his end game is. Because even if he pulls what you're saying, I'll just play the last 6 games, you still could put yourself in a situation where you will not be worth the money you would have been if you played 17 games and balled out. If you are having a bet on yourself season, well, he's not really giving himself much of a chance, is he? Brand new team, no training camp, might only play a handful of games, could possibly get hurt because he's not ready for the season. That's not the way you want to introduce yourself to free agency. And the Jets, well, take a look at the team that traded him. The Eagles kind of know what they're doing. So obviously the Eagles didn't want to have to deal with this garbage, so they dealt him to the Jets. So the Jets have known, hey, we're dealing for a guy here that's really difficult to negotiate. We might not be able to get something done with this guy. Do we really want to trade Huff for him? Yeah, maybe he's a better player, but could he be a headache? Is he going to show up to camp? Is he going to be a problem? Is he going to sign a long-term contract with us? So should the Jets have known? Absolutely. But now that they've made the deal, I need to know from Reddick, what are you thinking? How do you think this is going to end up for you? You think this is going to be a positive for you?
And if he shows up and he's ready to go week 1, he'll get hurt. He's not going to be up to speed.
What if
he's just going to get hurt?
I was going to say, if he doesn't get hurt, which hopefully he wouldn't, he's not going to be the best player he could be.
Of course
he's not going to know. He's not going to know where to be.
He might be, but he's not giving himself in a bet on yourself season. Do you really want to go in with no training camp? Or do you want to go in and give yourself the best chance to go out there and play? Like Aaron Judge, right? Aaron Judge had a bet on himself season, had a monster season, parlayed that into a huge contract.
Soto's having that season.
Did those guys mess around and not show up to spring training? No, they gave themselves the best chance to excel, and they have. Is he giving himself the best chance to excel? Maybe he will. Maybe he'll sign in the next couple of days, be there in San Francisco opening day, have 3 sacks, and become the defensive player of the year. That's a possibility. But is that where you'd bet? Where we're Tuesday before, 10 days away from the opener, and he hasn't signed a contract yet?
I just would love to hear a full explanation from them on what their logic was.
I mean, they could have signed Bryce Huff, the guy they developed into a really good player.
But
instead the Eagles did, and the Eagles traded you their problem.
You
look so dumb.
I hate to say it. I mean, this is, listen, Joe Douglas has a couple of great ones under his belt.
He's made a lot of bad ones.
He's made a couple of moves that really impress you, but there are a couple that you just go, did you get rooked here? Because I'm trying to understand, Michael, when you look at it, Hassan Reddick statistically obviously has gotten to heights that Huff never did. Hasn't yet, I should say. But Michael, he's pushing 30 years old. Huff is not. It seems to me, Don, if you have a player who's already liked on the team, now listen, maybe there was some story with Huff we don't know, but assuming, Don, that he was a liked player, to me, risk versus reward, was there enough of a gap in the talent that Reddick has in his older body than Huff that it was worth taking the risk of his contract? I mean, obviously, hindsight's 20/20. No, it was not worth the risk.
And I mean, if he balls out, comes back and balls out, well, then it was worth the risk. But it's such a bad look right now. And there's so much riding on this season for the Jets. There are careers riding on the season. There are reputations riding on the season. There are jobs, both Douglas and Saleh. I was on today with Chris Carlin and Joe Fortenbaugh on their show. Mm-hmm. And he asked a good question, Chris, because he's a very good broadcaster. Right. And he said, are Jet fans optimistic, over the top optimistic, cautiously optimistic, or waiting for the shoe to drop? and I'd say cautiously optimistic. Wouldn't you say?
I'd say that's fair. That's a fair.
Yeah, I don't think they're good. I mean, I give them credit. They have not called up and said, "Oh, we're going to win it all," because they know they're the Jets, and something usually bad happens. Well, Greeny and Bart Scott and Jeff Darlington were on Get Up and talked about where the Jets actually stand going into the season.
If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, the Jets are absolutely the biggest threat to Patrick Mahomes' three-peat in the conference. They have the best defense of anybody with the possible exception of Cleveland. We talk about the Jets, Jeff, like there's a question mark at the quarterback position.
We do not. What is going on with you Jets people? Between hearing Bart and Damian and now you talk about how nobody's respecting the Jets.
We're sick of it. We're tired of seeing Peyton Manning tease us at the Country Grammy Awards.
They're fine. Everybody, we're just tired of it. We did the whole thing last offseason where we anointed the Jets and said they were going to win the Super Bowl, and then 4 plays into the season, he went down. We just want to see it. We don't want to hear you Jets people continue to talk about it.
Well, here's some quotes. This is an NFL personnel director. He said, the Jets should be better. If not now, then when? You know, they will be tough and fast on defense. If they get Reddick back, they would be nice. The defensive line is legit good. Curious what Mike Williams does, but they can score a lot of points. Now, an NFL personnel evaluator said he doesn't, about Rodgers, he doesn't move like he used to. He doesn't create concern for defenses with his mobility. Still one of the best pure passers, no question, but throwing with high velocity and move with accuracy, can he still do that? I have my questions about that. And finally, an NFL executive said, assuming Rodgers is anything close to where he was pre-injury, then yes, because he was still a top 5 quarterback before the injury. He's one of the best pure passers the league has ever seen, and he maintains his arm strength. Has probably lost his peak performance as far as overall athleticism, but he's still plenty good there. Here's my point about the Jets. See if you guys agree.
Go ahead.
He doesn't have to be great. If he is the guy the last year with the Packers where he was actually hurt, but that's all he has. Even healthy, that's all he has. I'm good with that. Just give me 15 starts if you're Rodgers, because they had no quarterback last year. None. Zero. Nothing. They could have put Venus de Milo back there, who didn't have arms. And they still have won 7 games. All he has to do is be a good quarterback. Yeah. He doesn't have to be otherworldly or iconic.
I do think we're kind of overrating the Reddick situation a tad. Is it bad? Yeah, it's bad to a point, but it's still a fantastic defense. It's still a team that won 7 games with no quarterback, and I can add a quarterback that even if he gives you what he gave you was last year in Green Bay, is going to be more than enough to win 3-4 more games than they did last year and compete to win this division. So I think the Jets are going to be fine. Now, to the point on Get Up, I mean, listen, I think Mike Greenberg's a Jet fan, and he hosts the show. So I do think there's a lot of Jet talk. But do you get the sense there's as much talk this year as there was last year? Last year was wall-to-wall Jets. Now I think you nailed it. It's cautiously optimistic. Hey, if Rodgers is healthy, I think this team can make a run. But more than anything else, it's still a tremendously difficult AFC. The defending Super Bowl champions are there. I think Baltimore's an outstanding team. Buffalo may be a tick worse than they were last year, but still an outstanding team.
Cincinnati.
If Burrow stays healthy, Cincinnati's a championship contender. Pittsburgh's going to be better now that they figured out their quarterback situation, or at least they hope they did. And I think Cleveland can be a tough team as well. There's a lot of really. Houston is very good. Like, so that to me is the biggest stumbling block to say the Jets are going to win a Super Bowl or not going to win a Super Bowl more than is Rodgers going to be healthy? Is the defense going to take a hit if Reddick's not ready for opening day? I just think it's this. I just think it's how difficult the AFC is more than anything else.
Yeah, see, I'm on the other side of that. To me, the hardest part, Michael, is just picturing any of it. But
why?
Because I've never seen it.
But that's the Jets. I can't argue with that.
I understand it's not fun to argue with, Don.
But you've seen Rodgers excel in recent years.
Yeah, but that's we're talking about almost 2 years ago. At a time in life, it's a really listen, Michael. It's one thing to not see a player after a year in the middle of their prime. It's another thing right now. I mean, do you guys remember how quickly? Do you remember how quickly the world said, that's it, Colin Kaepernick can't play football anymore. He will not be able to last in today's NFL. It's over. It happened within 2 years. When he was 30 years old, it was over. You could never play again. And yet I'm not supposed to have any questions about a guy who, in turning 40 years old, hasn't played in 2 years?
You're entitled to have questions, but he had a great camp last year. He's had a good camp this year.
Does great camp mean anything? I mean, you know as well as anyone. Those are just words. That's air.
All right, fine. But believe me, with the microscope that's on him, if he didn't have a good camp, wouldn't we hear about it? If his arm didn't seem strong, if his mobility was whacked, has there been any indication that this guy doesn't look ready to play?
No, we did hear early on some like exchange problems at center and like some offensive line stuff that felt a little wonky, but no, we have not heard anything about him. And I don't expect that he would lose the ability to throw a spiral. But yeah, I have questions about someone at 40 years old who hasn't really played in a real way in 2 years.
All right.
But I don't think he has to be great.
Yeah, that's
all he has to do is be on the field.
Yeah, is he going to win an MVP
If he doesn't
again?
have to be the MVP Rodgers, in my opinion, because his defense is so good.
So how good? Though?
Exactly what he was.
Exactly what he was with the bad thumb. Because if he's not quarterback and the defense is what it was last year, again, no quarterback last year. They won 7 games. So if he's just okay, they win 10.
You would think so. I mean, I know things don't always work out that way, right? Like nothing's apples to apples, but you would think if, considering that team with Green Bay, if they had played a decent game against Detroit, they would have went to the playoffs.
Would have gone.
That's right.
Yeah.
You would think that this team would be able to make the playoffs this year. But again, I want to see it. You know what else I haven't seen? I haven't seen Robert Saleh coach good, meaningful football.
That's a huge question.
I have not seen, Don, we haven't gotten to December and had Robert Saleh coaching in meaningful football games with the playoffs on the line. Well, who knows what he's like?
The Jets won 7 games last year with their quarterbacks. I'm not going to mention, Rodgers' 4 plays and Garrett Wilson's 1 throw.
Thank you.
All right. Or Thomas Morstead, 1 throw. Boyle, Simeon, Wilson combined to throw 11 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, completing less than 60% of their passes for a grand total of 3,300 yards. And they won 7 games. So you don't think Aaron Rodgers can go out there and throw for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns, which would be more than double what they threw last year, and win the allotted games to be able to make the playoffs? So if you're arguing him winning the MVP, I'd be on your side. I need to see that. It's been 2 years since he's played. He's 41 years old in December. But to play to the level where this team compete for a championship, I'm confident he can do that.
1-800-919-3776. It's game time. Brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Mets take on the Diamondbacks in Arizona with coverage right here on 880 starting at 9.
How about that?
And the Yankees continue their series with the Nationals at 6:45 on Yes. That's game time, brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew. Try the brand new Tullamore Dew Honey during tonight's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly.
It's kind of wacky. You look at last year's schedule. I was trying to think of where the wins came from and who were they against, right? And you see some that, make more sense than others. Obviously, stealing game 1.
That was huge.
Was a big deal, of course, against Buffalo.
Beat the Eagles, first time in franchise history.
They beat the Eagles. Wait, no, they beat the Eagles last year?
Yes.
Why my schedule just... What is happening here?
I don't know what's happening.
But they also had some breaks down in terms of schedule, too. So, as much as we can talk about how they could have been better...
Yeah, that giant win was just...
how often are you getting to play a team that putrid?
That was rough. The only thing worse than the Jet-Giant regular season game last year was Saturday's preseason game.
You know what? Remember the Dolphin game? The 30-0 Dolphin game was brutal.
Was it the Black Friday game?
No, it was...
That was ugly.
That was disgusting. No, the Black Friday game, that was disgusting as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was 34-13. Here's the one that jumps out of their schedule that you don't make sense. God, they have some putrid losses. The Falcons 13-8. Then they lost to the Dolphins again 30-0. Don't forget they won that disgusting filth game that you count as one of their 7 against the Commanders when they almost blew it. Remember, they were up huge when the season was over. But you know it's one that jumps off the schedule and you go, how did that happen? 30-6 over the Texans on December 10th.
Oh, yeah.
How did that happen? Charged 27-6 against the Chargers. That was disgusting. And then, of course, the second time the Bills got them, they'd figured it out. I mean, that game, you almost feel like the Bills they played in game one was not the actual Buffalo Bills. It was like a preseason game that they somehow won. So you take that one, which is pretty weird at the beginning of the year, the trash Commanders game at the end of the year. All I'm saying is...
And the Giant game, which the Giants should have lost.
Which was...
Right.
Well, and you were playing a team that was disgusting at the time. That 7 wins is almost misleading. I mean, that's not. They're
but
not.
You're going to get a lot of those games in the NFL. There are a lot of bad teams, a lot of bad football.
Right, and you never know which season.
But a lot of those games you were talking about, a criminal quarterback play.
Like somebody should have been arrested.
No. That's exactly right. I'm trying to look now. I wonder who they have, and we'll go through it later. Who are the ones that are just absolute gimmies on the schedule this year? Because they'll have those too.
Hey, I talk for a living, so whether I'm in the studio or at the ballpark, I'm sure to have a cup of Bigelow tea by my side.
Here's something every parent, human parent, squirrel parent, can relate to. Time goes by fast. So the sooner you start investing for your child's future, the better. Acorns is how you do it. Ta-da! Look at that. Beautiful. Download Acorns right now and invest in your babies and your baby's baby. Acorns. Grow your oak.
I won the lottery with Jack Pocket.
Press the button to order your lottery tickets. It's that easy.
You know, that really happened. I was in the bathtub and I was like, oh my God, I got to put my numbers in. And I grabbed my phone and
my phone started exploding with texts and emails from Jack Pocket telling me I won big. I still can't believe I'm a lottery winner.
How did I celebrate? I kind of did a little happy dance out to the living room.
Go to jackpocket.com to get the app and get your first ticket free.
Mom? Yeah? I think we're out of toilet paper.
Oh, no.
Mom, we need more chips, Mom.
More chips, please.
More chips would be cute.
Chicken, a lot of chicken. Chicken on that plate. Chicken coming up.
Okay, hon, I'm gonna need a lot of chicken.
What's with the accent?
Just trying something new.
When you feel like everyone needs a little bit of everything,
I'll handle it.
Shop BJ's Wholesale Club on Instacart. Same-day delivery in as fast as 1 hour. So whatever the needs may be, you got it covered. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order.
I'm Jesse's uncertainty, and home projects used to be my specialty until Jesse got Thumbtack. With her guides and plans, I don't stand a chance.
Uncertainty doesn't live here. You do. Take care of your home with Thumbtack.
Somewhere in suburban America, a family of 4 needs some dinner time help. Home Chef's Family Menu and Paw Patrol make dinner time stress a thing of the past with easy meals the whole family will love. Get 18 free meals at homechef.com.
Managing my credit card debt was overwhelming. My name is Carter, and Upstart helped me get rid of that credit card debt with a personal loan. Having the opportunity to just have one due date a month and only paying one person made my life a lot easier.
We'd be living in a home that didn't have all these features that helped him.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives.
If they get a new house like this one, it'll help them do normal life. My dad's not just a hero, he's my hero.
Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Here comes the heat.
Say hello to the Bronx Buds, Yes's first ever animated series for the whole family.
And the crowd goes wild.
Now streaming. Join Riv, Bash, Oscar, and the rest of their gang for a baseball adventure around the Big Apple.
Bronx Pride is on the line.
Hexclad presents Bronx Buds. Now streaming exclusively on the Yes app. Powered by Buy-Cow Auto Mall.
Magnifico.
At Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, being the Northeast's best cancer center means being the best for you. Pairing the most advanced treatments with the most compassionate treatment. It takes looking at every cancer from every angle. And a care team that looks out for you and everyone you care for. It takes MSK.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Get your ideal combination of power and capability. And experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Returning lessees can now lease a Ford Explorer for just $319 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
You don't want to miss History on Yes.
Just marvel at what we're witnessing.
Record-setting swings and the Yankees' epic playoff push.
Back to back to back. Oh, ho, ho. Putting on a show.
Watch as Aaron Judge takes aim at his own home run record.
He's done it again.
How much fun is it to watch him play every single day?
And the fight for the division title reaches a fever pitch. Witness history unfold on Yes and the Yes app.
At First Tee, we teach kids how to play golf. But that's not our end game. Golf is simply our means to teach life lessons that build inner strength, self-confidence, and resilience.
It's more than a game. It helps them be more independent, more secure. It has given them more confidence, and I think that helps them with everything else.
Come join us at First Tee.
A waterfall made of fire. Goats that defy gravity. A turning point in history. A palace carved out of clay. A place where we grew wings. A thunderstorm beneath your feet. An eternal torch and an enduring dream. National parks are extraordinary. So is the support you give them.
Well, the Yankees designated for Simon Michael Tonkin, and the Minnesota Twins have picked him up. And there was no doubt. I mean, the guy is a serviceable reliever. Every team needs relief pitching, and the Minnesota Twins picked him up.
You can't say the Yankees didn't get something out of him.
No, they got a lot out of him. We'll talk more about that. Another great night for Aaron Judge. He didn't hit home runs.
No, he did
but
other things.
He took them away.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm not going to hit him, I'm taking him away.
That's unreal, man.
He's pretty good.
And by the way, the Verdugo playing left was as hideous a looking run and awkward to run into the wall as I've seen it sometimes.
I love when you hear, well, the walls are padded. No, well, they're really not. They're padded, but behind the padding is concrete. So if you run full speed into the padding, you're going to get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like pillows.
Yeah. It's like the way people feel about wrestling rings. It's like, it's not great, guys.
Right.
Yes, they're intended that you might run into it, but they'd like you to avoid it.
Right.
Now, there's some padding there, but you're still going really fast and in an abrupt stop. So, yeah, you can get yourself hurt, but that was a heck of a play.
There was a play on Sunday Night Baseball. You probably aren't watching.
I love baseball.
Astros and the
Mauricio Dubon.
Orioles, yeah.
So the way that Camden Yards is now built, they have the wall on left from the foul line. It goes straight, then it goes out, and then it goes straight. So if you're running full speed ahead toward that wall, I mean, there's no warning. It's like he slammed into the wall running full speed like a cartoon.
Right.
The Players Association has to do something. That's too dangerous to have in the middle of a field.
I understand that you like the uniqueness of ballparks.
Right. But let's not get someone killed.
But you've got to be able to have some set standards. Like that stupid hill Minute Maid Park had. Who thought that up?
Tal Smith.
Stupid. Now, what that reminded me of that play on Sunday, Michael, was what happened to Max Pacioretty when he was hit by Zdeno Chara at the bench before the NHL would have, at the end of the bench, there'd be glass.
Right.
And then the glass in front of the ice. So it was just basically a sharp edge.
Right.
And Pacioretty almost got decapitated. So what they did is they rounded it off so you don't hit it the same way anymore. You wish you would have some kind of warning. I know they go over it before the game, the ground rules and everything, but, still, there has to be some standard. I understand you have a standard in the infield, but then the outfield could be whatever. It could be pretty dangerous.
So I have a movie recommendation.
You do,
before
out
we
of
get some
nowhere.
phone calls. Out of nowhere. Didn't think it was going to be good.
Okay.
Actually didn't like it the first 45 minutes of it.
Okay.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's called Jackpot! Exclamation point.
Really? You like Jackpot?
It's Awkwafina.
I've seen
and
it.
John Cena.
Sure. Cena.
Cena's amazing. He's a really good actor.
Oh, he's very funny.
And I thought it was a really good movie.
So I haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
I have found it entertaining so far.
Right.
And I feel bad because I like her personally. I feel like Awkwafina's so weird, and her acting style's like this over the top.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's a perfect movie for it.
But was it intentional? Like, it's almost like her acting's like weird.
Yeah.
You felt the same way.
The whole movie's weird.
I guess
It's a weird movie.
Yeah, the whole movie is weird.
Yeah.
I've seen up until when they get in MGK's house.
Okay.
Machine Gun Kelly's house.
Yeah, which was very funny.
Which I thought was a very funny part. But it is one of those movies that's just a complete concept movie, and it's silly. But if you sign up for it and go on the ride, it's fun.
It was fun because Jody and I were watching, and I'm an anti walk out of the theater guy.
Mm-hmm.
But on streaming, I'll
walk out quick.
Right. So she says at 45 minutes, she goes, "You want to watch the rest of this? This is awful." I said, "Let's give it a little bit more." She said, "Okay," and then she was all in. She really liked it.
Really,
at the
it picked
end.
up. It picked up.
Yeah. It's so farcical. You know what I mean?
It is.
I mean, there's no basis in reality to it. I mean, the whole thing of the movie is in this dystopian future in the country, our country, they have a lottery in L.A. that if you win the lottery, then everybody in L.A. has a chance to kill you to claim the prize. Correct. They have 24 hours to get you.
Right.
And if you survive 24 hours without being killed, you get the lottery.
Oh, see, that's disappointing. I thought when you were telling me about Jackpot, I thought it was going to be when Terry Collins got into it with the umpire.
No.
When Syndergaard threw at the Dodgers.
I remember. I just watched a replay.
Although, you know what? In
that
this
would
movie,
make a good movie.
Awkwafina's in a big jackpot.
Yeah, it was a fun. It was a fun watch. John Cena's movie selection is very interesting. I feel like John Cena just chooses movies that pay him well and seem like they'll be fun. We discussed this on Cheap Heat this week.
Yeah.
Like The Rock decided when he went to Hollywood, I'm only doing the biggest movies on planet Earth.
Right.
John Cena is like, I'm only doing things where they pay me a lot of money and it's a good time.
And I don't like he had a good time.
He always seems like he's having fun. And then Batista, to round out my wrestler trifecta, Batista has become like kind of a serious actor. Like he did big movies, but now he's more of an actual serious actor. It's very random.
The kids watched a Cena movie where he's a fireman. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
He does a lot. He does a lot.
Playing with Fire was from 2019.
No
it
idea.
didn't do anything for me, but the kids seemed to like it.
He does a lot of movies.
He wears shorts. Let's go to Jacob in Union. Jacob.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Thanks for taking my call.
You got
it. I was just listening to the Jets discussion, and I think this looks way worse on Hassan Reddick. I like what Don said there, where I think it's being made to be a much bigger deal than it is. With or without him, the Jets D is going to be elite. My biggest...
But wait, I'll let you finish your point, but let me ask you one question. If they're going to be elite without him, why'd you give up a third-round draft pick for him?
Because it's a small risk to pay for one.
Third-round draft pick is not a small risk. And also, you don't put it on Douglas and I have this tied up before you make the deal?
Yeah, I mean, preferably you'd like that. But if we're losing Huff, they're deciding we don't want to pay him. Let's turn this third-rounder into someone that could be just as good, if not better. So that leads into my main point about I don't think this deserves any, backlash on Joe Douglas or any, questioning of whether or not he's a good GM. He's a top 5 GM in the league. The Giants and commies would be falling all over themselves because they're not exactly world-class front offices. So to put this on Joe Douglas, I think it was a worthy risk.
Who am I supposed to put it on? Jacob, you're also ignoring the fact that Joe Douglas took Zach Wilson with the second pick of the draft. You don't get out from under that.
That's
and
a tough
be called the top 5 GM.
Jacob, I'm with you. That trade with Seattle was huge. But no, listen, let's see. We'll see what Joe Shane turns out to be once he starts completing the roster. But listen, I think there's been good and bad with Joe Douglas. But I think you kind of have to have a heads up if you're Douglas. Philadelphia's a very well-run organization. The guy had, like 28 sacks in 2 seasons with Philadelphia. They didn't seem to want to have to deal with his contract. Maybe that sent up a red flag you should have paid attention to. But at the same time, I think the Jets' defense is going to be fine, and I think this ends up being way more negative to Reddick, who might cost himself millions of dollars. I think the Jets will pivot, and they'll figure out a way to be able to survive it. It doesn't look great for them, but it looks worse for Reddick. This is a make-or-break season for him, and he's sitting there, and we're days away from the start of the season. He doesn't have a contract.
I don't know if it looks worse for Reddick. It might be a worse play for Reddick, but I think the Jets look awful to have made this deal without the assurance that he was coming in. They look bad.
No, they look.
Reddick it might be bad for his career. I agree. So it might affect him more than it affects the Jets. But in terms of how it makes both sides look, I think the Jets have a tremendous amount of egg on their face.
Well, but it really depends on how it works out. If the Jets defense balls out and they're competing for a Super Bowl, nobody's going to care. As a matter of fact, it'll look worse for Reddick. You could have been a part of that, and you weren't. And you're going to cost yourself millions of dollars the way Le'Veon Bell did. So. Should Joe Douglas have been better informed? Yeah, probably. And I'm a Joe Douglas fan. I think he did some great things. He fleeced Seattle in the Adams deal. But is he a top 5 GM? I don't know that yet. He hasn't had a winning season as a general manager yet. Let's relax. I mean, top 5 general managers. Give me a break. But I'm not going to excoriate him for what's happened here. But I do think that it does look bad if they don't sign him.
He just wanted to take a blind shot at me. The Commanders just started to hold it for Adam Peters came from San Francisco. I mean, I don't know that that's true, pal.
Yeah, I don't know if the Giants would be falling over themselves to bring Joe Douglas in over Joe Shane.
No, I think the book has not been written on either yet.
Joe and West Harrison. Joe.
Hey, gentlemen, how everything is well with you guys today?
Thank you.
I agree that there is definitely. Appreciate you guys. I agree there's both egg on both parties' face, but how this kid called in and said top 5 in the league, I mean, my God, where's the standards now? But, I mean, the thing about Reddick, even at his age, is a better all-around lineman than Huff. But Huff, you don't know what he might have developed. He's still young. But I'm disappointed at, and like Don said, with a Jet fan, guarded optimism. Mike, no point on the All-Star game talking about Jeter not playing. Was there any merit?
Old-timers Day.
Old-timer for the Yankees, I apologize. Was there any merit to even playing a softball game? You think the guys would play? Do you think it'd be dumb? I mean, your thoughts on that?
I'd rather them play a softball game than have a Q&A. And even Posada said maybe have a softball game. But, I mean, have you watched old-timers games? Other than the ball, it's essentially a softball game.
Right. It's just that they throw overhand.
Yeah, and the ball is harder. But, I mean, yeah, I'd rather have a softball game than nothing.
From what you saw, Michael, on Saturday, is it even worth doing? Like you said, the building's half empty. During the Q&A, people are getting up to leave.
Right.
Listen, the Yankees are hot right now. I know the Rockies are not exactly a draw, and coming off a almost 500 season, maybe you felt like, hey, I might need to get some people in the ballpark for Yankees-Rockies in late August. But honestly, Michael, I don't think it moved the needle at all. I think the people that were in the ballpark there were probably going to be there anyway for that game.
I believe it's something that should be done, even if it doesn't pack the house, because I think the Yankee brand and their history is a big part of their selling point, and I think you celebrate that history whenever you get a chance.
And again, I don't know if you can make this work. I'm sure maybe the Mets would not want to do it, but next year is the 25th anniversary of Mets-Yankees World Series.
Right.
Have the old-time Mets take on the old-time Yankees. I think that'd be fun. Now, I don't know if the Mets would want to do it because that was a loss.
The Yankees used to do it.
I remember that.
The Yankees used to always invite back Dodgers and Giants, and they invite back Braves. I mean, they invited back the best players in baseball.
But if you were to bring back some of those guys, I think that could be a lot of fun.
I agree. Let's see. Where are we going? Mike in the car. Mike.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Chiming back in on that caller two calls ago. Well, one thing I think that he really didn't mention that would have really proved this point, which is why I think Joe made a good deal. We're getting a third-round pick, I'm assuming, for Huff for the compensatory pick. And for Reddick, we gave up a third-round pick, and I believe it could turn to a second with certain performance metrics.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm Joe Douglas, my thought is I just lost Huff, right? You know, he was our productive edge rusher. And now if I don't re-sign Hassan next year, I'll get a third-round pick for him too. So if he let's say if he at best, I mean not at best, but it could turn into being essentially a wash if they get him for the 1 year, because we all know they're all in this year. So we get him for the year that we need him because we need him, and if we don't want to re-sign him, we'll get a third-round pick for him too. So in that sense, I think it was a no-brainer.
Well, but how is it a no-brainer? We don't even know if we're going to have him for that year. Opening day's around the corner. He hasn't even stepped in the facility yet.
Well, here it's exactly why I thought that he was funny for saying the top 5 GM thing. Now, you brought up a great point. Now, I like some of the moves he's made, you know, Sauce, Garrett Wilson, etc. Those are all great, but like you guys said, he whiffed on Zach, and I think he made a big whiff because you signed this guy, you got to extend him or do something immediately. I mean, even if there was a quote-unquote handshake arrangement of playing on your current, you see what these players do. He saw Daniil Hunter, and he started. I mean, I don't know what the exact situation is. I'm not in the room, but he, Hassan Reddick saw Daniil Hunter's numbers and said, "I want that also." And now, you know, he hasn't shown up. Now, I don't think. One other point, I'll let you guys elaborate. That caller also said that it's all this is all on Hassan Reddick. Now, it's not all on him, but what I think is foolish is he's given up, I think, about $2 million, give or take, so far.
Yeah, it's like 1.8 as of today.
Right. So what are you gaining? Because if you get to now next week or whatever the deadline is, you're giving up $700,000 a year game checks. And, oh, by the way, the Jets own his rights next year. So what are you gaining?
Yeah, but here's the thing, and we talked about this a little earlier, Mike. Don't know if you joined us late. All he has to do is play 6 games, and then he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So that's probably what he's going to do. But one thing that will not happen, let's say he plays those 6 games, and it's $700,000 game check each game. Look at the money he lost. He's never getting that.
But I'll tell you what, Michael, as much as you love Scott Boras, he whiffed on a few clients this offseason. Sometimes these agents get it wrong. And I think he's getting terrible advice. The Jets are definitely going to sign you because this is a desperation year for them, and he got it wrong.
Listen, the Jets can have a good year without Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick cannot have a good year if he doesn't play for the Jets.
And to Michael's point about him coming back and playing the 6 games, well, that's really up to the Jets, right?
No, they have to. If he comes back and plays, he has to play.
No, but would they? They're balling out.
But they still have to accept him. I mean, they could release him and he could play the 6 games somewhere else. But it's not like they could say, "No, we're good, stay home." He still gets credit for the 6 games, and they have to pay him.
Even if he doesn't play.
Yeah. If he said, "I'm ready to play," they can't say, "We don't want you now." They can't. They either release him or they put him on their 53 men.
But it's just you have to be on the roster for the 6.
Yeah, you have to have the ability
you don't have
to play.
to actually play.
You have to have the ability to play, to be ready to play. Be eligible.
He's still taking a chance because he would not have played for a long time. So maybe in that first game he tears something up and then doesn't play in the final 5 games.
But he's still on the roster then. He gets credit for the 6 games.
But what if they just released him then at that point?
Well,
if he can't play for him,
that I'm not sure. I'd have to check. We'd have to check with Rich Samini. I also have to check with Peter about FanDuel.
Well, I'm glad because you've heard us talk about it.
With Udemy, there's a world of possibility at your fingertips. With one click, you're in the leading online marketplace for learning and skills. Want to become an AI expert? This is learning from real-world experts around the globe.
When you step into a Warby Parker store, you're immediately met by, well, glasses. But there's more than meets the eye. Like prescription glasses starting at $95 affordable.
Watch as Aaron Judge takes aim at his own home run record. He's done it again! And the fight for the division title reaches a fever pitch. Witness history unfold on Yes and the Yes app.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. Innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions. Telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Current qualified lessees can get this Equinox for around $199 a month. Or well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR when you finance with GM Financial.
It really doesn't matter what your politics are. With the military, these people are serving our country, and they need help. The United States is so much better than every other country, and it would not happen without people who risk their lives, and that's who you're supporting.
I want to hear what you rate the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Right, which is always high pressure when I'm sitting right next to the guy. It's like, but we'll give it 10, even though I don't generally give 10s. That's a rookie score. But we'll give it 10. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a 10.
So let's do good together.
Let's do it.
For years, one company has battled to deliver business products the next day with no freight charges. Now, WB Mason, with their famous fleet of trucks and drivers, faces their biggest challenge, rescuing shipping and packaging buyers from expensive freight charges. That's right. Now, boxes, stretch film, and packaging tape are delivered the very next day at amazingly low prices. So, who do you call for fast delivery and no expensive freight charges? Who but WB Mason?
You don't want to miss History on Yes.
Just marvel at what we're witnessing.
Record-setting swings and the Yankees' epic playoff push.
Back to back to back. Oh, ho, ho. Putting on a show.
Watch as Aaron Judge takes aim at his own home run record.
He's done it again.
How much fun is it to watch him play every single day?
And the fight for the division title reaches a fever pitch. Witness history unfold on Yes and the Yes app.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Well, edition on 880 AM.
I heard about this.
With all the same coverage of your favorite teams on DiPietro and Rothenberg, Barton Hahn, and the Michael K. Show. And now, ESPN New York is the radio home of your New York Mets. First game tonight. Right here on ESPN. 880 and ESPN, 880 ESPN and the ESPN New York app. Your city, your teams, your ESPN New York. 1-800-919-3776. We'll go to Kim in Harlem. Kim.
Hey, salutations and blessings to you guys.
What's going on?
Listen, I really don't like any type of hint or anything when it comes to criticizing Salah or anything that has to do with Hassan Reddick. What was he supposed to do? I heard a reporter something today asked him, did you call him today? What is he supposed to do? Why would he call him? He can't make any contract negotiations.
Yeah, this is not a head coach problem. I agree.
Exactly. And I tell you one thing, though, I think a lot of praise should be heaped upon Salah. Remember last year in that bloodletting fiasco of a season? Yes, they won 7 games, but he held that team together, and that proves a lot. And he must have did it with smoke and mirrors because they had no quarterback. You already said less than 4,000 between yards thrown between 4 quarterbacks?
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys also said some of those games were given. There are no given games in the NFL. That is completely unfair. I think a lot of praise should be given to Mr. Salah. Thank you for your time.
But all I say is, and I'm not going to say he's a bad coach. What I'm going to say is I don't know. I really don't know if I can look at his tenure with the Jets and feel like he's been given a real fair shot to see what he can do. The best team he had was last year's team, and it got sabotaged by what happened to Rodgers 4 plays in. But I also don't know that he's a Super Bowl coach. Michael, I don't know. It's an incomplete for me. He did hold them together, but last year I think he was responsible for tearing them apart with the whole Mike White T-shirts and stuff. Now, he learned from that. It does seem like they want to play for him, that they respect him, and I do think that's half the battle. But once this team gets into the playoffs, how do I know he's not going to get out-coached by Andy Reid or John Harbaugh or some of the coaches he's going to have to face in the AFC? I don't know. How could you know?
And I also 1,000% agree with Kim. I think that coaches are put in a bad situation, and managers too. There are certain questions that should be reserved for the general manager. And I think I like Joe Douglas personally. I really do. He's very, very nice. But his disappearance throughout the season last year, when the house was burning, and he never said a word because he only speaks after the bye week. Stop it. You should speak when there's something to speak about. You should speak about Hassan Reddick. Don't put it in your coach's lap. That's not his purview. That is not Robert Saleh's concern. His concern is the coach who's there. He should not have to answer questions. Let's go to Justin in Toms River. Justin.
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my phone call, as always. If I may, I wanted to make a Hassan Reddick point and a Jets point, guys. When it comes to Hassan Reddick, I've called this radio station all summer long, and it kind of flew under the radar with the Rodgers not reporting the mandatory minicamp. But, the Chicago Bears kind of gave you a preview of, how it should have been handled, regardless if it was, a fact of what happened with Reddick. But, they could have definitely agreed to the trade but not executed until he had the contract, and that's definitely on Joe Douglas for this team.
Yep.
I still think the Jets have a top 10 defense, and in my opinion, I'll push back on the 6-game thing. If this is all about money, Hassan Reddick has to get 10 sacks or more for him to get his money. So him to only show up for 6 games or not play at all this year, I think is totally putting egg on his face and not getting what he wants. I think he is eventually going to report this week or next week because he has to, because he's not going to get what he wants otherwise. And my Jets point is there's no reason why this team can't win 11, 12 games. I totally agree with Don. We know defense has traveled. This is an elite defense. They have an elite running game. And I think if the Jets win this division, which is very winnable, guys, the Jets will definitely have a home field advantage with this fan base.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I know that, the September 11th opener last year, and people say it was as loud as it's ever been.
Right.
I mean, we don't know what a home field advantage with the Jets would be. It's been so long.
Well,
I'm sure it would be wild.
I mean, either team. It would just look at the home records since they opened the new place. But here's the rub, though. There's only one bye. So you win the division, you only guarantee yourself one home game. Right. Remember, Kansas City last year won their division, got a home game, and then had to play 2 games on the road to get to the Super Bowl. So you might only have that one advantage. It might be in the wild card because you might win the division but still have to play week 1 of the playoffs at home, and then you have to go on the road. but will this team be good enough to maybe be able to get a bye, have home field advantage? That's the one thing we haven't seen in forever. The championship games in 09 and 10 were played in Indianapolis and Pittsburgh. In 98, they had to go to Denver in a championship game. I mean, so that would be pretty special if they're able to do that. And I think winning the division is certainly on the table. But can they get to the point? It's probably going to take like 13, 14 wins, you would think, to get a bye, right, guys? To be the 1 seed, it's going to be north of 12.
Yeah, I would think so.
More than
12. 11 is not going to get it done, but it could be enough to win the division.
We're going to talk to Howie Rose in a moment.
I'm
I
looking
know he's
forward to
your,
that.
I think, spirit animal.
Spirit animal.
Spirit animal.
You
Did
love
know
the
that,
man.
Peter?
I heard it.
Yeah, spirit animal. So to get prepared for this, because I know you're really pumped up, tell us about Mazda first.
Well, get more in a new Mazda.
The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you in part by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
At Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, being the Northeast's best cancer center means being the best for you. Pairing the most advanced treatments with the most compassionate treatment. It takes looking at every cancer from every angle. And a care team that looks out for you and everyone you care for. It takes MSK.
This is the GMC Sierra, powered by the TurboMax engine, with the confidence of 430 pound-feet of best-in-class standard torque. GMC Sierra, it's the truck. Current eligible GMC lessees can get this low-mileage lease on this 2024 Sierra Elevation for around $389 per month. We are professional-grade GMC.
You can win big on Hard Rock Bet with a little bet.
Oh, yeah.
Or a Post Malone size bet.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't need to know everything about every sport.
Good, because I don't.
Yeah, me either. All you need is a feeling and a phone.
Oh my gosh, I won.
You definitely need a phone.
We're good.
Big payouts for every kind of player. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
The best ideas come from solving common problems. My problem, like a lot of other men, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good untucked. So this became my passion, to design a shirt that captures the perfect balance between length and fit. Easy to say, not that easy to do. But with some innovative design changes, we did it. Our problem, my solution. Untuckit.com.
Don't let a clogged gutter rain on your parade. Protect your home with LeafGuard, the only one-piece seamless gutter system guaranteed to never clog, no matter the weather. Never clean your gutters again with LeafGuard. LeafGuard's patented seamless design keeps leaves, pests, and sediment out while directing water away from your home, preventing wood rot and foundation decay, giving you peace of mind that your home and family are protected from water damage with the industry's premier maintenance-free gutter system. LeafGuard is the smartest solution in gutter protection, proudly protecting your home by getting it right the first time for a lifetime. From manufacturing to installation, LeafGuard handles the entire process from start to finish. Invest in your home with a company you can trust. Call 833-LeafGuard right now for a free estimate and save 20% plus $500 off your purchase and installation. LeafGuard, get it today, protected for life.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Tonight's a special night for us here on 880 ESPN. It's the first time that we'll get a chance to promote the Mets. They have a game tonight against the Diamondbacks, and I think that's kind of neat. We've had a football team, we've had the Knicks, we've had the Rangers, we've had the Islanders. We never had a baseball team.
We had Army football.
Right.
We were going because I go back to the very beginning, but we never had a baseball team. And now we've got my team.
Your team. Yeah. And I get a chance now to be somewhat of a distant cousin connection on the same team as Howie Rose. Never, ever before have we done that. Ever. You have been on the Howie Rose team at FAN.
Yes.
Me, never. I don't think you ever wanted anything to do with me.
No. He's a big fan.
Well, let's see. Howie Rose joins us now, the radio voice of the New York Mets. Hi, Howie. How you doing?
Welcome to our humble little frequency. All of you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Isn't it beautiful? Did you ever think this was going to happen?
Michael, I think this is hysterical. The voice of the Yankees leading into Mets broadcast. This is just too good to be true.
It is. Everything funky happens now. That's just the way the business is.
It is.
So let's talk about this team. Has this team's run, since they started off so poorly, has it surprised you?
Well, I'll tell you what. If you would have said to me coming out of spring training that their record would be what it is today, I probably would shrug my shoulders and say, that's about right. I didn't expect it to be as volatile as it's been. The ups and the downs have been, at times, rather extreme. But I think at the end of nearly 5 months, this is what I figured the record will be, and their standing obviously depends on the teams around them. And so they're very much in the hunt. They've got 3 games to go with the team that's in front of them. That'll be in the last week of the season. And I have every reason to believe that they'll be in this thing right down to that last week.
And it's been just amazing to watch Lindor. I think that contract is really unfair. Obviously not to his bank account, but I guess to how we perceive him, because he's been looked upon up until this year, Howie, is probably a disappointment because of the level of the contract. But boy, this year, I don't think they're even close to the position they're in without him.
Well, there's no chance. I agree with that. And I think Francisco's biggest problem was in his first year trying overtly and pretty much admittedly so to justify the contract. If you remember, he got off to a very slow start in 21, which was his first year, and the fans were getting on him. And he would voluntarily speak after the game about how he heard the fans booing and it bothered him. And, that raised a lot of antennas because that told you that he was so aware of the inherent pressures and the reaction to it from the fans that it was affecting him. And I think he's grown more comfortable in his own skin. I know that when Javi Baez got there a few years ago, I think that frankly exacerbated Francisco's problems. I didn't think that was going to be a good combination. And when the Mets chose not to re-sign Baez, well, I mean, now he's done for the year. He's having hip surgery, but that's certainly proven to have been the right decision. And I think that just solidified Francisco's role as a potential leader in that clubhouse beyond the first year. He has certainly absorbed that and worn that mantle very proudly and effectively to the point where he's the unquestionable leader of the team.
All right, so you split 4 games in San Diego. And the last one was a real kick in the teeth game. I mean, you get over it, but it's one that will linger just for a little bit. And really, it was like kissing your sister. You didn't gain any ground on San Diego. So you start a 3-game set with Arizona today, Howie. And if you have any intention of catching Arizona, because I know right now your sights have to be on Atlanta, you almost have to take 2 out of 3, and that might not be good enough because they're so far ahead. I think you almost have to sweep if you want to try to catch Arizona.
Well, certainly if that's going to be the objective, yeah. But I think right now it's not even a matter so much of who you're playing. It's that you've got to win 5 out of every 6 or 7 right now. And it really doesn't matter as far as Arizona's concerned. They're far enough ahead of them right now so that I won't use the word beauty because I hate the 3 wild cards. Think of it. Whoever clinches that 3rd wild card on the last day of the season, their fans can yell and scream, "We're number 6! We're number 6!" Because really, that's what it is. And we've been around long enough to remember when finishing first was everything and the only thing. So, I think with the cluttered postseason as it is, you don't worry so much about the position as you just do getting in. And we've seen the ramifications of that over the last couple of years, certainly in the National League, the way the Phillies and then the Diamondbacks made charges all the way to the World Series. So, if they can get hot enough to where their sights can be squarely focused on that first wild card, tremendous. But I don't think that's even necessary. You've just got to win series and keep winning series right down to that last week.
So from your vantage, as close as you are, Howie, you still think this team could have enough, because it does feel like we've been playing this very Metsian type game this year of a couple of weeks. I mean, Don early in the year was ready to sell off every single piece. Him and Michael are fighting like cats and dogs. Then they turn things around, and Michael's able to wave his finger in Don's face and go, see, and we're dreaming about a World Series. And then since then, it's sort of been this back and forth. It has felt very Metsian. Do you think this ends up being that kind of year where they just kind of end up fizzling, or do you get the sense this team has something there?
Well, I've vacillated with that so many times this year because you've seen the needle move from all the way in the red to all the way back down to the bottom, right? I mean, you look at how they left home for this road trip after their dramatic 2 out of 3 over Baltimore, with both games ending on ninth inning game-winning home runs. They've had that kind of, what do you want to call it? I don't want to call it magic, but I mean, they've had that resiliency to where they have been able to win games dramatically and encourage you that there's enough there from an emotional standpoint as well as a talent standpoint to hang in there. So I can't sit here with a little over a month to go and forecast, yes or no, whether they're going to get in or not. But I think they've got the goods to do it. And, as I've said a few times already, just win 2 out of every 3, 3 out of every 4 if you can. Get into that last week. You've got the 3 games in Atlanta. And I think that's the primary thing right now. If you're going to look 3 or 4 weeks ahead, which is all we've got left anyway, get to those games in Atlanta when they mean something. And don't forget, to me, what the Braves have done the last little while is borderline remarkable with the people that they've lost. And if you think there's going to be a little regression to the mean there, then, maybe the Mets have an opportunity to take advantage of that, too.
Here's what I struggle with, Howie. Like, you brought up the fact of the 3 wild cards, what Philadelphia did 2 years ago, what the Diamondbacks did last year. And we look at that as being great for baseball. We were actually off the air in a meeting. Tim Kirchin was there, and he's like, how great is it that there could be 10 teams that can win the World Series? And on the surface, that's great, but it's hard to celebrate that and then still say that your regular season has the same meaning. The more teams that go to the playoffs and 6 seeds making runs, Howie, tells me that these games are just not as important as they used to be.
Well, with the prize being in the past that you had to win the division, then it's 100% true, and I agree with it, and I abhor this system personally. But if you don't like this system, and I know Michael hears the same stuff I do, but I would be willing to guarantee that within 5 years, I mean, they've got to get a couple of stadium situations figured out, certainly in Tampa. Who knows what's going to happen in Vegas, if that's ever going to reach fruition. But I firmly believe within 5 years, baseball is going to expand to where there are 32 teams, and they are going to radically realign this game, and the American and National Leagues, as we've known them, will virtually cease to exist, whatever they call them. And I would bet my bottom dollar that if they go to 32 teams, 16 of them are going to make the postseason. And you know why? Because the networks want it.
Right.
And when the networks say, we got this dough and we're willing to give it to you if you play along with us, everybody knows they all want every last nickel on the table. And so I think that's where we're headed. So as much as, you or I or Michael could look at this system and say, oh, man, it's so watered down, that's because we remember when it wasn't. But just wait. If you think if this is watered down, wait till you see how murky it gets a few years down the road.
See, I think I'm going to surprise you. We're talking with the great Howie Rose, Mets voice of the Mets on the radio side. I used to feel just the way you felt, but I think that something that holds back baseball, Howie, is that we look at it as religion, and that we look at all of any change to what they do as almost like a strike against the church. Every other sport has loads of wild card teams. Baseball's under what the NBA and the NHL and the NFL do, but for some reason, we just say, oh, this can't happen with baseball. Why can't it happen with baseball? Why can't baseball change and move with the times and make more money out of television? I don't think that it's the most terrible thing anymore.
My argument to that has always been baseball is unique because we play twice as many games as basketball and hockey. So to me, who was it recently? St. Louis, I think. You play 162 games, right? And the Cardinals, I think it was 2 years ago, won their division. They had the 3rd best record in the National League. So they played the third wild card team. And they lost in 2 games. I think that was to the Phillies, right? I don't remember who it was, but all I know is the Cardinals, I think it was, won their division. They played the third wild card team. They lost in 2 straight. So after 162 games, twice as many as the NHL, twice as many as the NBA, they go home after 2 games. And I think that system stinks.
But that Philly team ended up going to the World Series.
I get it, because they got hot at the right time, just like an 8 seed can get hot at the right time in hockey or basketball. And if that's the way it's going to be, so be it. It just doesn't mean I have to like it.
Oh, yeah, but whether you like it or not, all my point was, Howie, is that it's hard to do that and then still say the regular season has the same value. I mean, we're hockey guys, right? So all we hear about is, the regular season, everybody makes the playoffs. Well, since they expanded to 32 teams, it's still only 16 that make it, but it's still getting held to the standard of 16 out of 21. It's not. It's pretty much the same.
Which happened. People need to know that actually happened.
Right. So the point is that if I've got to get the abuse as a hockey fan that your regular season doesn't mean anything, well, what you're talking about in the future, you could accept that and it can be fun, but it's hard to have both a meaningful regular season and have what you're talking about, because then that does mean I can have a really crappy first 2 months of the season and survive, similar to the way the Edmonton Oilers did last year.
That's exactly right. And the thing of it is, we can try to, quote, intellectualize it all we want and say this should be that way or that should be this way. But really, we just have visceral reactions to these things, right? They make these changes, and I don't think a whole lot about them before I decide how I feel. You just feel it, as I say, in a visceral way. And then if you feel the need to explain it because you're asked about it, you do so. But I've got to do it honestly. And, I hate when, people, okay, boomer, or you're a fossil, or, you just can't accept the game the way it is now. The thing of it is, the one advantage of having been around long enough to remember the game when things were a little different is that younger fans who only know this system and they love it, and I love that they love it and respect them for loving it, but they didn't experience how it was the other way. So, they can or would have been able to pick and choose how they feel about something had they experienced both sides of it the way we did. All I'm saying is don't dismiss something that used to be as antiquated just because it's not today, and don't embrace everything today just because you didn't see yesterday. I don't know if that makes any sense, but this is what you're getting involved in with our frequency. Guys.
I think
gibberish right. Like I just threw out.
I think you just made a T-shirt is what you did. Anywhere in the middle of the Mets preview on 880 ESPN, driven by Ramsey Moss. And Howie, I knew Carlos Mendoza for a long time. Versus, most recently he's a Yankee bench coach. He's been in the organization a long time. Always liked him a great deal, and I think he's doing a terrific job with the Mets. How about your dealings with him, and what are your thoughts on Mendoza?
I cannot speak highly enough about how I feel about Carlos. And, I've said this for what it's worth to anybody who would listen among the hierarchy in the Mets organization from the top right on down, is that he has checked every box. For me as a media member and a team broadcaster, for our needs, that's one thing. But just in terms of being the quality human being that he is, there are no games, there are no double entendres, there are no hidden agendas. You ask him a question, he looks you in the eye, he gives you an honest, as best he can, answer. And, he's just a mensch. He's a human being. And I think from a more important perspective about how it relates to the Mets and to the team, the players, he has been, and maybe this sounds cliche because you've probably heard it 1,000 times before, but remember all that volatility we referred to about how this season's been such an uncanny variety of ups and downs? He has been the exact same person from the beginning of spring training through the bad April and May, through the tremendous June and into July, and the ups and downs since. He hasn't wavered one bit. And when you ask guys in that clubhouse what they've most appreciated about Carlos, that's the thing almost unanimously they will point to. He has been an absolute pleasure, and I have enjoyed talking to him, getting to know him, and watching him run a club as much as anybody who I've seen do this in all the years I've been around the Mets.
How do you think this Alonso thing's going to turn out?
Well, I think that what we've seen in this game over the last number of years is a an increasing reluctance on clubs' parts to engage in very expensive 6-7 year contracts for guys who are in their 30s. Certainly, pitchers are the most evident because you think back to last winter and probably had a right to expect that Blake Snell would have gotten a longer deal than he did. Jordan Montgomery off of the postseason he had, same thing. And I think in Pete's case, as an offensive player who's going to turn 30, and that's the key, you know, when he plays his first game on his next contract, it'll be his age 30 season. If I had to bet today on how this is going to go, I would say that the best chance the Mets have of holding on to him, unless they desire to get into one of those 6 or 7 year deals, it's big money. I don't see it going that way. I think if they were to put forth a really big average annual value on about a 3-year deal, that would be the best chance I think he and the Mets would have to stay together. I think Pete's going to want more than that. I'm not convinced the Mets are willing to go more than that. But that's just me. That's not, you know, as per any discussions I've had with any of the decision makers. That's just my feel for it.
Any concern at all, the absence of power by Alvarez?
Yeah, a little bit, and I think it goes back to, you know, the thumb injury. And I don't know whether or not there have been any tweaks that he's made, because I'm no hitting guru, but I do know that the power, as you suggest, has not been there, you know, save for his dramatic home run of a week ago against Baltimore. You know, this is a guy who has, I think, grown defensively ahead of what their expectations probably were. And I think that a lot of what he's done has been the product of working so hard and spending so much time to the point where I just wonder if they need to kind of pull back on him a little bit and say, you know what, come in a little later today or do a little less. I know he's a kid that's put a great deal of pressure on himself to sort of galvanize among the pitchers towards him and create what seems to be a great relationship. The pitchers genuinely like pitching to him. Mm-hmm. And I think that he's probably going to need to dial some things back a little bit, apart from whatever mechanical or physical reasons there might be for the recent power shortage.
I'm really curious. Are you tracking the White Sox the way I am? Are you hoping they break that Met record?
Yes. What do you mean break? No, I'm hoping they win 41 or lose 121.
Yeah, I want them to be the worst team in the history of baseball.
You want it. So you want the Mets to lose the distinction of the original 1962 Mets being thought of as the worst team ever.
Yeah.
See, I feel a little differently.
Okay, because you lived through it, so that's why I asked you.
Yeah. Gary and I have talked about this. We're kindred spirits, particularly in that category. I think that if you can go far enough back to 1962, and I mean, I was 8, so it's not like I have this long tenured history as a baseball fan, but I do remember what Casey Stengel meant, who he was, you know, what he did to create what that team was in terms of their image. I mean, who loses 120 games and is as beloved as they were? And before long, they were outdrawing a dynastic Yankee team to the point where, you know, by 1969, they certainly owned the town for several years, as they did again in the 80s. But to me, the thing about 40 and 120 is that it's symbolic of what it took back in the day before you could buy your way into contention. In 1962, the reserve clause was still in effect. There was no free agency unless your team released you. So you had to trade your way, sign your way, and as of 1965, draft your way into contention. And so to go from where they were in 1962 to 7 years later in their 8th season, winning it all, to me, those bookends are so special and are so, you know, to me, again, emblematic of what the Mets represented by 1969 because of what they've been in 1962. I hope 40 and 120 stands forever. And I would direct you, by the way, to the cover of the Mets, because both teams who participated in the World Series used to print their own World Series programs back in the day. But you can just Google this. Look at the cover of the 1969 Mets World Series program. It was an old Willard Mullen cartoon. Michael might remember him. I don't know if Don does, but he was one of the great sports cartoonists of all time. And I won't even spoil it for you. It perfectly typifies what the Mets were in '62, what they became in '69, and to me, that it's hard to call it symmetry when they were so lopsided and different, but that means a lot. And so I hope the White Sox win 41 or lose 121 or both.
I had a feeling you would think that way because I was born in '68, but my dad was a Met fan, and he left me the first 4 yearbooks of their history. So I've always had a thirst for everything before I was born, and picked my dad's brain about all those teams and stuff. So for somebody that was not alive at the time, I feel like I do have an intimate knowledge of that team. I just always wanted to kind of shake loose of being the worst team in the history of baseball. So I'm kind of rooting for the White Sox to be that. But
makes sense.
I get it.
I can understand having lived through that, because that's their first yearbook. It's a little baby, and then they grew into just in a very short period of time the best team in Major League Baseball in 1969. So I can understand that, and you living through it, I can completely get that.
Anything you guys need to know about life on this frequency? You know, how the dishwasher works, or, where the light switches are?
Well, where do we get
the fire extinguisher? We need to know where the fire extinguisher.
What we really need to know is, how do we get the traffic and weather on the 8s? How do we get the traffic and the weather?
Great question.
Because we keep missing that.
That's way above my pay grade.
Gotcha.
I think, we all know how to do that nowadays. I mean, look, if you're in New York, you're not going anywhere anyway. You sit in traffic wherever you're headed, so you don't need it. That's one of the reasons that they changed formats, because the traffic has gotten so bad around here that we just didn't need it anymore.
Yeah, you just sit in traffic and listen. Anyway, we're thrilled that we're on the same team. Thank you, Howie.
I am too. I look forward to talking with you guys again.
Thanks, Howie.
Awesome. That is Howie Rose, the radio voice of the New York Mets. And that's the Mets preview, driven by Ramsey Mazda. It's the experience of driving a new Mazda and buying a new Mazda from Ramsey Mazda. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda. Speaking of the Mets, we're going to have the manager of the Mets, Carlos Mendoza, joining us at 5:15.
Hello.
5:15.
How you pull that off? Good job.
A couple of phone calls here and there.
Wow.
If I wasn't able to pull it off, Peter, I would definitely need some better help.
I don't know if that's exactly what BetterHelp's intended to do.
What's it about?
Well, this message is brought to you by...
The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you in part by Bigelow Tea, who encourages you to grab a mug and tea proudly.
It's amazing to think that my grandmother started Bigelow Tea right here in New York. And today, we're still a family company. And you have to remember, tea, that's all we do. So every cup counts. That means never compromising. My family won't let that happen. And our extended family, they give their all every single day. And our community, well, they expect that.
I want a cup of Bigelow Tea to be a moment just for you.
That's what I hope for.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Get your ideal combination of power and capability, and experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Returning lessees can now lease a Ford F-150 for just $299 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
Listen, I spotted it from the start. Breaking didn't even have a name yet. Bunch of kids from the South Bronx who didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And today, it's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
Feel October in the air today.
These games mean something. You want to win the division.
But this is the battle of the American League East.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. And command the road, as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters. Get exceptional offers at your local Audi dealer.
If you're an asbestos victim, pay close attention. Billions of dollars are being paid out to people like you. We should know. We're Whites & Luxembourg, the law firm that already won over $9 billion for men and women just like you. That's right, over $9 billion for mesothelioma sufferers and their families. We know you're short of money, and we know you're short of time, so we fight hard. Call Whites & Luxembourg at 917-LAWYERS. That's 917-LAWYERS. Whites & Luxembourg, winning big for the little guy.
Breaking news and a surprise contender in the marathon.
Yes, Rachel, someone has caught up to the front. He's carrying a fridge.
Something remarkable has just happened.
Talk about keeping your eye on the ball.
What's happening courtside?
From half court. He got it.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. Over to baseball. Bridgman's going to win.
There's no way. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Chris Sharon back here for the Michael K. Show. Nestor Cortez continuing to roll is brought to you by Montefiore Einstein, the official hospital of the New York Yankees. The Bombers opened up a 3-game series in our nation's capital last night, and Cortez was king inside the Beltway. For the third straight start, he was lights out. In wins over the White Sox, Cleveland, and the Nats, he is pitching to a .44 ERA. And he got some help from his friends on the offense. He was spotted a 1-0 lead after the first half inning of the game by a solo Gleyber Torres homer. Austin Wells connects here in the 6th to make it 3-0. Then with the Yankees up in the bottom half of that inning, Cortez gets out of a 2nd and 3rd no-out jam by striking out the side around a walk. The bases were loaded when he got his final K. It's the 3rd straight game Cortez pitched into the 7th. He struck out 5 and walked 2. And his batting average against over his last 3 is now 145. Meanwhile, the offense is firing. They lead the majors in homers with 206, 7 clear of the Orioles, 27 more than the third-place Dodgers. Tonight's coverage commences at 5:30 with Yankees batting practice today, followed by the pregame, and first pitch is scheduled for a little after 6:30. It's the Yankees and Nationals. Coverage starting tonight at 5:30 with BPTV, right here on Yes, and streaming, of course, on the Yes app.
Sure I did. Our program director, John Winthrop. So you guys are wearing shorts. I call him the Throp. Because it's 90 degrees out. John's wearing a flannel brawny shirt, like, you know, the paper towels guy. Do you get advance tip on a cold front or what?
Well, I think his office is usually notoriously warm. Because I do think we overrate sometimes, like, oh, we've got to, like, yeah, look, I'm doing it today, wearing shorts because it's hot out. But really, you're in the climate of your building. Shouldn't be any different no matter what year it is or what time of year it is.
Fascinating situation you guys are talking about. The flannel?
He's wearing a flannel shirt.
And long pants?
Yeah.
I need to see him. Is he around?
You didn't see him? You were sitting in the office,
but again, I don't look at people the way, I don't analyze them. Yeah,
he's
there's
wearing
John.
a flannel plaid shirt.
I don't know.
I did notice that now. Now I realize I did.
But did that register to you when you saw him? I thought, there's John. I don't like sit there and analyze, all right, what are you wearing today?
Well, the interesting thing is, you know, he has to take different forms of transportation to get home.
Yeah.
He wasn't dropped off in an SUV, an air-conditioned SUV.
No.
He's going to be on the train.
He's sweating through the LIRR.
That's a very interesting choice.
Hey, calling all football fans, enter the ESPN New York Survivor Pool for a chance to win $2,000. I've already signed myself up.
I made my
your
pick.
Each the game's not till 2 weeks.
Well, what's going to happen between now?
There could be a big injury.
No, I'm good.
Why would you do that?
No, I'm doing it because I don't want to forget. So when I set it up today,
I mean, really,
but it's not flannel.
It's button up to the top of his neck.
But I don't think it looks plaid. But I don't think it's flannel.
Listen, I don't want to line up with Michael. He came right after me for wearing shorts. But John is wearing October 5th weather right now.
Yeah,
he wants it to be football so bad.
Yeah, that he started dressing like football.
This is the outfit that he would be taking his little kids out Halloween.
No, maybe if it's cold, maybe a vest on top. You know what I mean? He's a vest man. You can tell.
Anyway, make your pick each week of the football season. Find out how you stack up against your favorite ESPN New York personalities. Just be careful. One wrong pick and you'll be eliminated. The last one standing will take home the title of the inaugural ESPN New York Survivor Pool champion and $2,000. Enter now on the ESPN New York app. Let's go to Danny in Long Island. Daniel.
Hi, Danny.
Daniel, back from North Carolina. I've been loading apps, changing presets. How much more can I take? I mean, this first sliced bread, then the internet, now this. I don't know what more I can do.
You're special.
Are we going to stay here for a while now?
I think we're here for a minute. What I want you to do, though, Danny, I want you to drive around at night and see if you can get a little 880 in North Carolina.
No, I'm back in Long Island now. I was on 880 earlier. Now I'm on the Yes, and as soon as I go back in the car, walking the dog, I'll be in the app. But listen, I have been listening, and I got a lot to say. I hate to sound like Richard from Manhattan, who's got like 37 points to make.
All right.
One. When judging Aaron Rodgers' age and his physical ability, he did sit, I believe, 2 or 3 seasons before he started. He sat last year. His game has never been taking on defensive tackles like Ben Roethlisberger, who could barely walk on the field. He's been elusive. He runs. He gets out of bounds. He's been protecting himself. So if he stays healthy from another freaky injury, I expect the Jets to be in the AFC Championship game. Lock that in. That's point number 1.
Lock it in,
number
Jake.
2.
All right, we're locking it. We're locking it. Go ahead.
Okay. Point number 2, Peter. You missed it yesterday when the discussion about the pool. The only person that he said he ever was contemplating inviting over to his pool to swim was your wife. Just let that sit there.
No, Daniel, you're wrong. I said that those two actually visited Jody and I and the kids. But we didn't invite them over to swim.
No, and we didn't swim.
And they didn't swim.
Bear did.
In fact, they would have been thrown out if they swum.
Wow, I don't think you would have.
I don't think so. I don't think if Mrs. Rosenberg had broke out a bikini, that you may have been thrown out, Michael, but she would have swum just perfectly fine.
Interesting.
Now, I'd like to talk about Aaron Judge because we're watching perhaps one of the greatest players we've ever seen do this. However, let's ignore the numbers because this is now comparing people from other generations, just like we're comparing football stats where everybody thinks that, these guys are great and Bart Starr sucked because he pitched only through 200 yards a year, 2,000 yards a year. Let me just throw you some random baseball numbers. I hate to go all Dick from Manhattan on you. In 1975, Mike Schmidt won the Major League batting title, hitting home runs with 38. There was only 7 other players in the league who hit 30 home runs. 85, Darrell Evans hit 40 to lead, and there was 13 other players who hit 30. Last year, 54 was Olsen. There were over 33 players with over 30 home runs a year. The home run, although it's still important and still magnificent to watch, has been diluted by how many there are. You can say he may be the greatest home run hitter who ever lived, regardless of how many he hits, because he started late. But it's just like you said yesterday with Sandy Koufax. He's regarded as a top 5 pitcher, but because he had such a small window, but the window was such brilliance that we're still talking about it. So I don't care if he hits 800 home runs. Do we really think there are 35 players in Major League Baseball right now that are better home run hitters than Mike Schmidt? Mike Schmidt, 30 home runs a year. I mean, so no, the game has changed. The physical size of men, the ballparks, we all know. We've discussed it ad nauseum. So ignore the numbers.
Yeah, but you're also eliminating an aspect of it that shouldn't be eliminated. Mike Schmidt probably faced a pitcher a third or fourth time, 3 or 4 times more than Aaron Judge ever does. Mike Schmidt did not have guys coming in from the bullpen throwing 98, 99, 100 miles an hour, and the guys that aren't considered hard throwers are throwing 95. So every little comparison you make from era to era, there's a checkpoint. Yeah, Mike Schmidt was a magnificent player, but his home runs that dominated the home run landscape back then, would he be in that same realm now? Would he be a 50 home run guy? I don't know. I don't know. I think that Aaron Judge, if you drop him to Mike Schmidt's time, would be a 45 home run guy.
I do think that players are bigger, stronger, faster than they were, and not enhanced. I just think that's the way life goes. That's why tall players hit their head on the dugout at Fenway Park, because when they made Fenway Park, the average player was probably 6 foot. Now you got players that are probably averaging 6'2", 6'3". People are bigger. People are stronger. Also, Aaron Judge walks up to the plate, which is fascinating because he still is over a 300 hitter, trying to hit a home run. There were times that Mike Schmidt, with 2 strikes, would choke up on the bat and try to hit a single. That doesn't exist anymore. Everybody is trying to swing for the fences.
But I don't know
There's
if he's
no
trying to hit
two-strike
home runs.
approach.
I think he's trying to hit the ball as hard as he can.
Right, but I don't think that's how it worked back in the day, because you went up to hit a home run, but once you got 2 strikes, you expanded your strike zone, you did differently.
But that would be a point of negativity if he wasn't hitting 333.
Well, because I think that's why he's an amazing ball player.
Right.
But I think everybody's hitting. We went from, Michael, I think George Foster hit 50 home runs in 1977. We didn't see somebody hit 50 home runs again until Cecil Fielder, which was like in the early 90s.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. There are more home runs now. Some of it was enhanced by PEDs, but some of it is the fact that I think players are stronger. They're trying to hit home runs where I don't think Mike Schmidt always was trying to hit a home run. I'm sure there were times where he had a runner at first base and he was trying to hit a double, or once he got 2 strikes, he expanded the strike zone and he tried to just get a hit, just try to make contact. I think it's a little bit different now. But you're right. Mike Schmidt probably faced the same pitcher 3 at-bats every game. Now you got guys coming out of the bullpen that throw as filthy stuff as the starters do. So I think it's a much harder to hit now than it was back even 30 years ago.
All you have to do is look, what is the batting average of the sport? 244. Judge is 90 points higher than that. Higher than that.
That's right.
I have the Yankees starting lineup on 880 ESPN, brought to you by Big OT. This is tonight against the Nationals. Gleyber Torres at second, leads off. Juan Soto on right, bats second. Hitting third, center fielder Aaron Judge. The DH is Giancarlo Stanton. Batting fifth, third baseman Jazz Chisholm Jr. Anthony Volpe at shortstop. Bats sixth, batting seventh and catching Jose Trevino. Alex Verdugo on left field is going to bat eighth. Batting ninth and playing first base, DJ LeMahieu. The starting pitcher for the Yankees is Garrett Cole. That's tonight's Yankees starting lineup, brought to you by Bigelow Tea. Bigelow Tea is a proud supporter of the Michael Kay Show and the official hot tea of the New York Yankees.
You give good lineup.
Let's go to Mike in Connecticut. He's been on hold a while. What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Been listening for a long time.
Thank you.
First time I've called.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. So I gotta make another point on the Judge thing, because I don't think Danny was trying to downplay it, but I've just been hearing a lot of callers recently, and everyone keeps arguing the point of Judge hasn't won a World Series, or it doesn't matter until he does it in October. But I think what we're doing is we're downplaying history. Like we're downplaying something that has happened, if you exclude the steroid guys, twice, and it took 30-plus years for Maris to break Ruth. It took, again, outplaying the steroid guys, 60 years for Judge to break Maris's. Like, during that time, and I think Don brought it up yesterday, like, someone wins a World Series every year. 60 teams won a World Series. Countless hundreds of players won a World Series in the time that it took Judge to break Maris's record. So I think what we're doing is, or some fans are doing, is we're not appreciating how difficult it is and how incredible it is that Judge is doing this. And not only that he's doing it, but the fact that he's doing it 2 years after having broke the record previously. I think it's just insane.
I think it's very well put, and I think it's a smart take, and I think that people look at greatness and they don't want to accept greatness at face value. They want to be a yeah but. We're a yeah but society. Yeah but but if he didn't get hurt last year, Don, It might be 3 years in a row where he did over 50 home runs, maybe even 60, because he was on his way to a great year last year. And he's having a great year now. So I'm not looking at the negativity. I am taking this in and going, this is a magnificent season he's having.
I am not going to be the guy that say championships don't mean anything. I think championships are what it's all about. I get that. But what is it about a championship that's special, Michael? Your team is the best in their respective sport. And for the entire offseason, you could take pride in that your team won the World Series. And you buy the hats, and you get the T-shirt, and you buy the DVD, and you just luxuriate in the 2024 Yankee Championship. All right? But why can't you luxuriate in this? It's your favorite team. It's probably one of your favorite players. Yeah, you want to win a championship, but isn't this kind of cool, too, even if you don't? Now, if you want to tell me that if the Yankees do not win the championship, does it maybe take a little bit of the thrill out of the judge experience? You know, maybe I could buy that. But for a caller and the guy Max and a couple other callers, it means nothing. I don't care about that. Then you don't know how to have any fun. You can't enjoy this. You can't say that one of my favorite players on my favorite team was able to do something that nobody's ever done before. Like, shouldn't that be close to a championship?
Even if they don't win, even if they got eliminated in the first round, you can't take away from the fact he might hit 65 home runs. It's two separate seasons. It's the postseason. They actually have a name for it. There's the regular season, and there's the postseason. If he hits 65 home runs and the Yankees don't win a playoff game, it takes nothing away. It takes something away from the season and the overall look, but it doesn't take one home run away from 65 if he hits 65 home runs.
It's funny because they say that it means nothing, yet every historical stat that any player ever collects is from the regular season.
Right.
Like all of Barry Bonds' home runs for the record, and Babe Ruth before him, were all regular season home runs. How many home runs did Alex Rodriguez? Was 696?
Yep.
All in the regular season. So how do you say it means nothing when careers are based on that? Now, I know the Yankee edict is championship or nothing, but this can't be fun too? To see something that you've never seen before. But if your team wins 84, let's say the Diamondbacks, like they win 84 games, win the World Series. Yeah, that's tremendous. But was there ever a moment during the course of the 162 games that any Diamondback player, any Diamondback fan could have had this much fun in what Aaron Judge is doing?
I just think it's a fundamental mental difference that you have if you've rooted for this team. Because for me, rooting for the teams that I root for hardest, as we know, because I'm a fraud elsewhere, the Commanders. The idea of them, they played in, let's say the Commanders have played the NFC Championship game as recently as the Yankees have played the ALCS. I'd feel pretty good. I'd enjoy that. There doesn't seem to be any enjoyment. Well, now, in their defense, they've had some brutal losses to their current arch rival also. So I get that. That takes things down a peg.
Well, I think you're right about the Yankee aspect of it, because think about it. If this was Pete Alonso having this year, Met fans would not be saying, yeah, but. They would be reveling in it, as they should.
I think they would be. Yes.
Right? Because it's not that same expectation as the Yankee fan base.
Hey, let's look back to the movie 61. How much play did the championship come into anywhere in that movie? The entire movie was about Roger Maris and his race to the home run top. By the way, they won the World Series that year.
Right.
So again, nobody's gonna say the 61 World Series championship meant nothing, but it does acknowledge the fact that run to 61 was pretty big too. And in the grand scheme of things, the way history remembers it, was actually bigger than their championship. So I'm not gonna devalue championships. It's supposed to be important. And I know I get thrown back in my face. Well, you don't want to celebrate the Endy Chavez catch, and you don't want to celebrate the grand single by Robin Ventura. I'm not saying not celebrate it, but let's not hold it up as one of the greatest things in the world. It was a specific moment in a series that they lost. This is an entire season of watching a player do something we've never seen before, and you're not getting any enjoyment out of it.
Now, Boogie Collin is a great listener to the show. He writes, I can't believe my ears. Michael K just said if Judge hits 65 home runs, the Yankees don't win a postseason game, it doesn't take anything away. That's the sorriest bleep I've ever heard all day.
Well, what do you mean?
That it doesn't take anything away. It doesn't.
How would it take anything away?
He thinks that it doesn't count because they didn't win a playoff.
You think that To who?
I guess to Boogie
Well,
Collins.
to Boogie Collins, but to the history books, no one will ever mention what happened with the Yankee season.
Right. Yeah, when you open up the history books in 50 years and you see
asterisk,
he hit
they
65,
lost
65 home runs, you're not going to ask did they win this that year. You're not. You're going to say, wow, 65 home runs.
Now,
but it's the sorriest bleep he's heard.
But now the Warriors breaking the record for wins in a regular season and not winning, that kind of does take it away from the team aspect.
I agree with
that.
that.
But if Curry had averaged 100 points a game during the course of the season and didn't win, then what Curry didn't happen?
If the Yankees in 98 won 114 regular season games and didn't win the World Series, it meant nothing. Just like it meant nothing in 2001, Don, when the Seattle Mariners won 116 and got knocked out by the Yankees. Because as a team, you're trying to win a World Series. As an individual, it does not take away one of his 65 home runs if that's what he ends up with. Sorry, it doesn't. Peter, I know you've been clamoring. You're giving me that side eye. You want to talk about Dodge. I know you do.
You know me so well.
The finest premium arena club in the world comes alive in Brooklyn. Welcome to Crown Club, the Brooklyn Nets' most exclusive club in Barclays Center. Featuring a menu curated by Major Food Group with Carbone classics and a world-class wine list. To learn more about premium memberships at Barclays Center, visit brooklynnets.com/crown-club.
To do. But with some innovative design changes, we did it. Our problem, my solution. Untuckit.com.
Hi, I'm Sally. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a flight nurse on a helicopter that specializes in trauma. I've been doing flight nursing for 24 years. I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to keep up. I wanted all the boost I could get. I heard about Prevagen from a friend. I read the clinical study on it, and it had good reviews. I've been taking Prevagen now for 5 years, and it's really helped me stay sharp and present. It's really worked for me.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Current qualified lessees can get this Equinox for around $199 a month. Or well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR when you finance with GM Financial.
You don't want to miss History on Yes, record-setting swings, and the Yankees' epic playoff push. To back, to back. Watch as Aaron Judge takes aim at his own home run record. He's done it again. And the fight for the division title reaches a fever pitch. Witness history unfold on Yes and the Yes app.
How's the ketchup? Dad, are you okay?
Yeah, just stressed out.
Oh, and the melody is sounding so much better. I can play it for you. Wait, where's your guitar?
I gave it to your cousin.
What? That guitar's like your favorite thing.
I don't need it anymore. Some days are just better than others.
I think you should go talk to someone.
It's not that easy.
Have you been thinking about suicide? You can talk to me, Dad.
Listen, I spotted it from the start. Breaking didn't even have a name yet. All that potential, just waiting to burst free. I think about every battle. Kids from the South Bronx who didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And today, what I saw in us is the same thing I see in you. It's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
All right, boys, who we betting on?
However you bet, whoever you are, the sportsbook for every kind of player. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Feel October in the air today.
These games mean something. You want to win the division. The crowd is pumped up. So much at stake.
This is the battle of the American League East.
Visit linkedbylovetv.org to learn more about kidney disease, transplantation, and prevention. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
First week, tell the story you just told me right now on the air.
Reset your preset with ESPN New York. Show us you're listening by uploading a photo of a device playing the new 880 ESPN New York for a chance to win a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Head to the contest tile on the ESPN New York app to enter. This week's giveaway is a 4-pack of tickets to Pearl Jam at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday, September 4th. Be sure to reset your preset to the new 880 ESPN New York. Let's really lift the curtain. What about Don that he did during the commercial really annoys you? Go ahead, say it.
He has recently started eating sunflower seeds in the studio.
Right.
And so the shell process that he does is he eats the seed and then spits the shells into a bottle.
Right.
And it gives
it's like you're working with Sparky Lyle.
Right.
Spitting out tobacco juice.
It gives the exact same sound, basically, as someone dipping.
Yeah.
And it's nauseating. Just hearing.
Tough. Get over it. So I'm not gonna enjoy some nice healthy sunflower seeds. It's a snack.
Are they healthy?
Pound Doritos?
Are they healthy?
We're gonna pound Doritos during the break.
They're really. Not
I don't think they're healthy. I think it's pure salt, Don.
Yeah, it's pure salt.
It's nothing but sodium.
I'm losing weight. I'm making it work for me.
You're enjoying Doritos too, but you don't eat them.
No, because I can't do it. I'm the lowest weight I've been in 20 years.
No, you look terrific.
So I'm having fun with it. This is all part of my process. You have to adjust to me. I don't have to adjust to you.
Yeah, but you're annoying somebody you're working with.
He
It doesn't bother me because I'm deaf. I can't hear you.
You couldn't hear, can you?
No.
When I sit in that seat, it's all I hear all day.
All day. It's been 2 days. Big deal. Michael didn't even notice it until you said
no, because I can't hear.
He's deaf as a doornail.
Well, then that's whose problem is that?
It's his problem.
What does the sodium say they're preserving, though, Don?
Oh, will you stop? I'm doing so. Don't make it seem like you're trying to save my life. You just don't want me to spit anymore.
I don't, but I'm trying to find an angle.
Now you know what I felt about all the years of oranges.
No, I don't. That I don't understand. You just got bothered that he cut the. You would admit, Don, I have more of a kick coming.
No, you do, and I feel bad for it. And you know what? I'll stop. But I'm trying to defend myself.
Hold on. Don just lived out what I say about him being the worst negotiator of all time. He just
I don't want to irritate people, but I you know what's so interesting? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too in depth.
Okay.
There are things that people do that drive me crazy. I just keep it to myself.
I know.
Let people live their life. But nobody has any problem. Everybody in my life has no problem saying when I irritate them. Why don't I get the same respect?
You do.
Is there anything that I do that annoys you?
Oh,
there's tons of things.
Give me one.
I don't want to share it on the air.
That I really annoy you? That's something that you talk to Nancy about?
Oh,
I hate Michael's.
Well, this is one in general. I shouldn't do it.
No, do it. I'd love to hear it. Because I want to be better.
You're a bit of a complainer.
I am.
So that can be annoying. But I never say that, Michael, you're annoying. Shut up. I just let you. That's part of your process. It's who you are. It doesn't bother me that much. But I think somebody that's living in the kind of world you're living in.
You know what?
Your complaints kind of fall.
But you're 1,000% right.
Right.
And I don't really complain about earthly things. I complain about health.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't. I should keep it to myself. One day I'll drop dead, and you'll say, you know what? He was probably right. I shouldn't burden you guys.
No, I would say you're right. He said he was going to die 40 years ago, and he just kept plugging away.
There are things that you complain about that I say, you know what? I don't know if everybody needs to hear that.
Okay, you know what? That's a fair point.
But everybody, I think, I probably complain too much, too.
No,
but I don't say anything about it because I know it comes with you, and I still love you. But I don't like having these conversations where we got to air out our grievances. It's not that big of a deal. But for whatever reason, when I do it, whether it's Peter, my friends, my wife, I have no problem saying, you know what, you're annoying. Well, why? Why don't I do the same thing?
This sounds like it's about Nancy.
No, it's about everybody. My mom, everybody. They have no problem saying, you know what, I don't like this. Well, I don't do that. I just let people be what they are.
Listen.
And do the human thing. Complain to somebody else about it.
I have a personal thing. It's a me thing. About like certain eating habits of other people where it irks me. Otherwise, I wouldn't say anything. But every time I hear it, I kind of like, you do a couple of them. I guess it's a sign.
Me?
No.
Oh.
You have other things that annoy me, but they're not.
Tell me.
No, they're not physical like this. Don's two that bothered me recently. And also, Don and I are together more often than we're with you.
Right.
Cushy contract that you have. But
Yankees.
And the Yankees, sure. But it's Don the spitting.
Right.
And the swishing around of water when he drinks from a bottle.
Which nobody notices but you.
No one still notices that but me.
I never noticed it.
He did it today, right in your face. You didn't even hear it. I said, I didn't call you out.
See, it's one of the blessings of not being blessed with hearing.
He has this thing about like the way he swigs the water. There's just a lot of squishing. And it bothers me. Wow. It's not his fault. It's not personal.
I'm glad we had this talk.
Does it kind of sound that he's more like on the sensitive side when it comes to things that irritate?
The funny thing is that you and I both have the same complaints about Peter, and we never say a word to him about it, ever.
Physical things?
Yeah, it involves you, yeah.
But not physical. But this is different.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about a physical irritant. Like it's a sound.
This is a physical irritant.
I don't think so.
But you eat on the air.
Yeah.
I used to hear about that.
And you know what? Sometimes I found it annoying, that little sound when you pop on the mic. See, no, I'm just saying.
And
I don't say anything about it because it's not that big of a deal. But now I feel defensive.
And when you have iced tea or something like iced coffee, and it sounds like the Titanic just crashed into an iceberg.
It happened one time.
It happens a lot. But fine.
Yeah.
I don't like
no,
the
you know what?
Of grievance. I don't like Festivus. I don't like the air of grievances. It makes me feel uncomfortable because it's not that big of a deal.
No, it's not that big a deal.
Because I let it go. I'm no different than anybody else. But why can I let it go, but other people can't?
Because you're a better guy. You're a better person than us.
I don't want to believe that.
No, you are. You're much better. Yeah, and I'm never going to complain again. You'll never hear it ever.
That is not true.
Because you know what? You should have told me 23 years ago, and I would have stopped then.
Can you imagine if he stopped complaining?
I'm going to stop.
No,
you watch. Why? I will not complain.
Here we go.
Because I don't.
Another one.
Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. What is that? All right, to hit a home run, everything needs to line up perfectly. No different than finding the person you want to marry when the time comes.
It's Aaron Judge.
Yeah. Sometimes you get the feeling you're watching a Hall of Famer right in the middle of his prime.
The captain is rolling.
They're going to need a longer tape measure.
A monster blast. See ya. Wow.
Here comes the heat.
Say hello to the Bronx Buds. Yes's first ever animated series for the whole family.
See ya. And the crowd goes wild.
Now streaming. Join Riv, Bash, Oscar, and the rest of their gang for a baseball adventure around the Big Apple.
Bronx Pride is on the line.
Hexclad presents Bronx Buds. Now streaming exclusively on the Yes app. Brought to you by Hexclad.
Mwah. Magnifico.
Matters. Get exceptional offers at your local Audi dealer.
Labor Day signals summer's end, but the heat is still on. A.J. Perry wants to reward you, the American worker, with a $39 end-of-season AC tune-up. These Labor Day savings are available for a limited time only. Call 844-668-7555 to schedule your appointment.
I love those guys.
Joe passed away December 26, 2021. They had found him unconscious. He had a heart attack at the firehouse. At Joe's wake, Assistant Chief Gallo had told me that Tunnel to Towers would be taking care of us. We found out that for July 4th that they'd be paying off our mortgage completely. I would suggest that if you've never heard of Tunnel to Towers, you should read about it. You definitely see where the money goes. I think that's the most important thing. You see where it's going. Please contribute $11 a month by going to t2t.org.
The best ideas come from solving common problems. My problem, like a lot of other men, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good untucked. So this became my passion, to design a shirt that captures the perfect balance between length and fit. Easy to say, not that easy to do. But with some innovative design changes, we did it. Our problem, my solution. Untuckit.com.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is simple. Every home should have Salon Paws. Powerful, yet non-addictive. Targeted and long-lasting. I recommend Salon Paws. It's good medicine.
Your memory is an amazing thing, but sometimes it can start to slow down. But did you know Prevagen can help keep your memory sharp? The secret is the powerful ingredient apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish and found only in Prevagen. In a clinical study, Prevagen was shown to improve memory in subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired. Stay sharp and improve your memory with Prevagen. Prevagen, in stores everywhere without a prescription.
Here comes the heat.
Say hello to the Bronx Buds, Yes's first ever animated series for the whole family.
And the crowd goes wild.
Now streaming. Join Riv, Bash, Oscar, and the rest of their gang for a baseball adventure around the Big Apple.
Bronx pride is on the line.
Hexclad presents Bronx Buds. Now streaming exclusively on the Yes app. Powered by Buy Cow Auto Mall.
Magnifico.
You don't want to miss History on Yes.
Just marvel at what we're witnessing.
Record-setting swings and the Yankees' epic playoff push.
Back to back to back. Oh, ho, ho. Putting on a show.
Watch as Aaron Judge takes aim at his own home run record.
He's done it again.
How much fun is it to watch him play every single day?
And the fight for the division title reaches a fever pitch. Witness history unfold on Yes and the Yes app.
The manager of the New York Mets, Carlos Mendoza.
A big fan.
Because you know what happens a little bit later on tonight.
Go ahead.
Mets baseball right here on 880 ESPN.
Do you feel uncomfortable?
Not a bit.
Sure.
Everybody says I should, but I don't feel uncomfortable. I'm cool. I'm all right.
I don't know why you'd feel uncomfortable, so I was just playing along with it.
But it just shows you how people look at Michael.
Like this, sideways.
No, that he's a Yankee guy.
Yeah.
But even if it was Phil Rizzuto, you think Phil Rizzuto would feel uncomfortable saying coming up Met baseball?
Listen, for years, Mike Francesa was an unabashed Yankee fan.
Right.
And the Mets would follow their show for decades.
Good point.
Did he ever feel awkward about it?
I don't think Mike
I was in the fan bullpen.
I don't know if he had awkward is a thing Mike knows how to feel.
I was in the fan bullpen in '96 when Leyritz hit the home run.
Right.
And that was when Mike and Chris would stay on. They would come on after the Yankee playoff games and do a show. So I was in there when Leyritz hit the home run, and I saw him jump into somebody's arms.
Who was the person?
I don't remember, but it had to be obviously somebody that can handle that. No, listen, he was girthy. Jumping up and down, celebrating. I mean, I'm not calling him out. I mean, he did. He was a Yankee fan. And he would throw to Met baseball, from 1989 right up until his last day on the air.
No, they got the Yankees by the time he finished.
I don't remember the exact time, but it was still a long time.
Yep.
So why would it be any different for Michael?
It's not. It's just funny that people feel that it should be, and it's not at all. We haven't given it that much conversation today, but we will. Judge didn't hit a home run yesterday. He picked up his 1,000th hit and then robbed a home run and turned it into a double play. You're watching him. And again, I can't tell people what to feel, but we are really watching generational greatness where this is not normal what he's doing. He's not a center fielder. He's a right fielder, and he does a pretty nice job in center. He gets hits. He's I think, 11 points behind Bobby Witt Jr. for winning the Triple Crown. And I mean, we're going to sit here and nitpick about, gee, if they don't win the championship, it doesn't mean anything. That no one is going to affect the joy that I feel when I watch this guy play. Forget about me announcing the game.
Right.
Watching him play baseball, if you're a baseball fan, should be joyful because you don't see it.
Absolutely. Now, looking at a lot of social media, the one thing I will cave on a bit is if he really wets the bed in the postseason. Like, if he ends up having this historic season and he can't get a sniff and the Yankees get bounced early, I could see people going, listen, he's just not a great postseason player. He's only got a .211 batting average in the postseason. Haven't won yet. If he has this monster season and strikes out 15 times and doesn't get a hit and they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, I could see a Yankee fan going, all right, that was a great regular season, but man.
Yes. Fans could feel that way.
But these people, it's a championship or nothing. Well, what if he rakes in the postseason?
Yeah,
that's 900 and the Yankees lose.
And they intentionally walk him 6 times.
Which they might.
And he has nothing to do with the fact they lost.
Right.
It's still on him?
Or how about this? And the most likely scenario, he bats 260, and he's pretty good, and he hits a couple home runs, and they still don't win the World Series. What does it mean then? The fact is, Yankee fans are out of their mind. We know this. And the people who are watching, it seems like him doing what he's doing is sort of an afterthought. Most sports fans would be tuning in right now, regardless of what the record is, every night to watch this. And by the way, I do believe there's probably a sliver of Yankee fans who, when they tune in to watch tonight, after our show, of course, they will be dialed in to see Aaron Judge. I do think that's the kind of tear he's on right now.
I mean, we could actually look at it, but I would think that when Soto and Judge are coming up, the ratings are higher. Because you can tell that if you have the MLB app, you know when they're coming up. I don't think anybody's turning away when Judge is coming up to the plate. So if you're a Yankee fan and we see rating spikes in the first inning, in the third inning when he comes up, and you're turning on the TV and really locking in, not going to the bathroom, not making a snack, you can't tell me that if they don't win the World Series that you didn't enjoy what happened. You can't. It just doesn't make sense.
And I really believe that we are swayed by the people that call and tweet. And those, I think, are the vocal minority of people. I think the vast majority of Yankee fans are enjoying this and having fun and not attaching everything to a championship or bust. But there's a select few, and they call the shows and they tweet that are saying it's championship or nothing. But these are the only people we have a chance to respond to.
Let me ask you something, Michael. He is batting .333. He has 122 RBI right now. He has 51 home runs. His OPS is 1197.
Sick.
His slugging is 732. It's above everyone else's OPS.
Yes, which is unbelievable. Because people don't really know OPS and slugging.
Right.
But that one stat that you gave is mind-boggling.
Well, when you think about it, it's pretty simple. OPS is slugging plus on base.
Yeah.
His half of that, just his slugging,
beats the combination of everybody else.
Correct.
Right.
So what he's doing is insane. Where could you rank this season if, assuming it continues, he doesn't fall off a cliff, he ends up 62 home, whatever the number is, he bats around 330, 160 RB, whatever it is. What level season are we talking about comparatively to the great seasons of all time?
I would say because it's so difficult to hit now, it's got to be in the top 10 seasons of all time. And I don't think that's hyperbole.
No.
It's just not. Because, again, the sport's hitting 244. He's not only hitting 333, but he has 51 home runs and 120-some-odd RBI. It's inconceivable what he's doing, Peter. It's inconceivable.
Because now, in the modern-day game, if you hit home runs, you do not hit for average.
Right, and you don't care.
And you don't care. You say, oh, we went and got Francisco Lindor. We love that he hits 27 home runs. Yeah, he hits 250.
Right.
This guy hits double the home runs And 330.
And imagine if he sold out and didn't care about the batting average and just swung from his heels. He might break Bonds' record. If he was a 240 hitter, if he turned himself into Joey Gallo too, he might have 80 home runs if all he tried to do was hit home runs. And didn't care about striking out 250 times. His strikeouts are down. His batting average is up. His OPS is up. His OPS plus is up. His OPS plus, last time I looked, is 225.
It's 229 now.
All right, 229. That means he's 129% better than the average player. 129%. But I don't think people are really...
His WAR is 9.4.
...understanding the level of what he's doing because it's happening, because we're in the middle of it. Maybe if we took that big step back and looked at a broad overview, we go, wow, that's unbelievable. Because I said this yesterday. If his season ended today, and 100 years from now, you look at that line, you go, wow, what a great year. Well, it's not even September 1st. If he finishes with 51 home runs and 120, what was it, 121?
Yeah, 122, I think.
122 RBIs, you go, wow. He win the MVP if he doesn't play another game.
It's psychotic. Psychotic. It's a reason to turn on your TV every single night.
Well, in just you think about the great seasons of all time. We go back to that 04 Barry Bonds season. He batted .362 with 45 home runs and 101 RBIs. That was where he had actually more on base than actual at bats. But if you go back to the 73 home run season in 01, he batted .328. There's a chance that Judge will hit higher than that. Drove in 177 runs, probably not getting there, 73 home runs. If you want to base it off of that season, but we know that was compromised.
Yeah.
So let's go to Ruth. The 27 season where he hit 60 home runs where teams didn't hit that many. And just see what those numbers are. I bet you they're probably comparable.
He probably hit in the 360s, didn't he?
And that was the 27 season. He had 60 home runs, 165 RBIs, and batted .356. I mean, are the numbers going to be? He might hit more home runs. I don't know if he'll drive in 165. And I don't know if he'll bat that high.
But remember, the guy in front of Judge is going to have about 115 RBIs.
Yeah, so he's
different. Cleaning some of the RBIs up.
But we could talk about the Ruth and say, well, he didn't play against African Americans, and he didn't travel. He probably faced the same pitcher every time, right? Because they didn't change pitchers unless somebody actually got hurt. So he faced Walter Johnson. If he had 5 at bats, probably faced Walter Johnson all 5 times. Walter Johnson was really good, but was he that good in the 9th inning as compared to the 1st inning when he was probably on pitch number 160? Making starts every 3 days.
And then in the other, 2 games of the series, it wasn't Walter Johnson pitching for the Senators. It was probably somebody we never heard of.
Hack that we've never heard of before. Not having to face, guys that have the filthy stuff that they have now. What are other historic years, Michael? You want to go, again, it's not going to be the home runs, but go to Joe DiMaggio's 41 season where he won the MVP. Had the 56-game hitting streak. He wasn't a home run hitter per se, but he did hit a lot of home runs. In 1941, DiMaggio, 30 home runs, 125 RBIs, had a .357 batting average. He's going to blow all that away. He won't maybe have the batting average or the hitting streak. Plus, he's an A-plus defender. It's pretty amazing. How many? Only 76 walks for DiMaggio a year. Only 13 strikeouts.
That's pretty, the amazing stat.
Pretty amazing. But, again, we're going back to 1927. We're going back to 1941. We're going back to 2001 when clearly Barry Bonds was compromised with PEDs. Any of those A-Rod seasons, people are going to look back at it with a jaundiced eye because of the fact that he was a PED guy. Aaron Judge, everything points to the fact that he's clean. Nobody's had any kind of seasons. All those Mike Trout seasons, never to this extent. Am I forgetting anybody? What other amazing...
Sosa, McGuire, those guys.
Well, we know those guys were compromised, too.
If you want to pull out everybody that's been compromised, it's Judge and Ruth. That's it. And Maris.
And Maris is 61 season was not.
It was an MVP season.
It was an MVP season, but I'll punch those up. But I don't think it was close to that.
It's time for Diamond Notes, brought to you by London Jewelers and driven to you by Nissan. As we mentioned earlier, the Mets against the Diamondbacks tonight right here on 880 ESPN. And we get a chance to talk to the manager of the New York Mets, Carlos Mendoza. He joins us now. Carlos, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How you doing?
Hey, Michael, Don, Peter, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. I'm wondering, Carlos, baseball's such a long season, but there are some games that I like to call kick-in-the-teeth games. Teams get over it, but it lasts a long time. Was Sunday one of those kick-in-the-teeth games for your team?
I mean, every time you lose a game like that, you could consider there's, a painful one. But at the same time, we're professionals, and you got to move on. You know that at some point throughout the course of the year, you're going to go through some losses like that. And yeah, Sunday obviously hurts. We're playing a really good team, and we had an opportunity to take 3 out of 4, and it just got away, with 5 outs to go. Had a nice day off yesterday, and now we're ready to play another really good team on the Diamondbacks. But yeah, to your question, it hurts, but you got to move on.
And August was such an important month, Carlos, and such a difficult schedule. Only 9 home games, 2 separate West Coast trips. So I know the metrics are always wins and losses, but how did you attack going to August and understanding just how difficult that schedule was going to be?
Yeah, just trying to keep it one day at a time, not looking too far ahead, because, especially the first one at the beginning of the month where, that makeup game that we had to go to St. Louis, that was a tough one. Going from L.A., 1 game in St. Louis, and then back to Colorado and finishing in Seattle. I thought that we felt it a little bit towards the end of that trip, playing a really good team against the Mariners, and, it shows. But, you just got to take it one day at a time, the mentality of 1 game, 1 series, and keep things simple. We went home, had a decent homestand. We lost a game against the A's. That was a tough one, too. We talk about the one on Sunday, but they won against the A's when we're up 5-0 early in the game, and then they get back, and we ended up losing that one. But then, we bounced back, won a series, and then won a really good series against Baltimore. And here we are in the middle of another long road trip, split in San Diego. That's a good team right there. That bullpen is, it's legit. And we had a chance, but walking out of that place 2-2, off day yesterday, like I said, and now we're ready to go to take on the Diamondbacks here.
All right, so it's August 27th, and some might say it's early, but Yogi would say it's getting late early. So I'm just wondering, now you have the Diamondbacks in front of you for the next 3 games. Carlos, when, between innings or anything like that, are you looking up at the Braves score on the scoreboard? Are you looking at the San Diego Padres score? Or are you scoreboard watching?
I am not. Honestly, I am not, because we have to take care of business. We have to win our games. And I'm a little bit superstitious, so I don't like to look up the scoreboard. And when you're on the West Coast, before you start playing your game, you know what's going on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But, there's always a sense of urgency. Like you said, where we at on the schedule, 31, I think we got left. It's go time. It's been go time a long time ago, especially when we were, 10 or 11 games under 500. But look, proud of the guys that we were able to put ourselves in a position like this where games matter when we're playing for something, and that's exciting.
Can I give you total credit, Carlos? Because I always want to give you the credit that Francisco Lindor's having an MVP season because you moved him to leadoff.
No, that's all up him. What a great player. And he was on board since I had that conversation with him. And this is a guy that I've been saying it the whole year. He's willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win baseball games. He wants to win so bad in New York. And I'm going to go back to that conversation that I had with him. And the biggest thing was, like, if we're going to give it a try, let's give it a try. Let's give it a little bit of a run here and see how it goes. But it's been a game changer, not only to his game, but to our team. He's setting the table up for all our guys. He's getting on base. He's hitting for power.
Oh no, the boop.
That was a very unique demise to a phone call. I've never heard that.
I've never heard that.
Did you
either.
go right to boop?
It sounded like almost like he went from like a one microphone to another one, and then
because it was a great line up to then.
A beautiful line, one of the great lines.
Arizona, one of the strange places. I want to correct something quickly. Somebody, I had misspoken. I said 177 RBIs for Bonds in 07. In 01, it was 137. So clearly he can end up with more RBIs.
All right, so we have Carlos back from Arizona. So you were talking about Lindor and how he accepted moving to leadoff. I just want to ask you this because, I'm pretty close with Buck, and Buck used to rave about this guy and said, this is like a player that every manager dreams about having. Usually when your star player is that guy, he's not that easy to manage. Do you see the same thing as Buck did and as Terry Francona did, that this guy is like a dream for a manager?
100%. And I've been around a few of them, not as a manager, but coming from where I came from, there's players that, they're like that too. And, you have a pretty good idea what they look like. And, man, this guy's special. Like, it's a manager's dream. Because when you got your best players showing up and doing everything that he can to prepare to play a big league game, and then he goes out there and plays the game hard with passion, he's keeping it loose. He's having fun, and with a sense of urgency. That's what you want, because guess what? Everyone else is going to feed off that, and they're going to have to. They're going to follow him. And it's 100%. What Buck said, what probably Tito would say. This is a manager's dream to have a type of player like that on your team and leading the team.
It's been an interesting season for Pete Alonso. Not the numbers that he's used to, plus it's the end of a contract. How has he handled it behind the scenes?
I think really good. Being around Pete this year for the first time, he's been the same guy since he showed up in spring training. Again, it's all about winning. For Pete, it's all about winning, and everything that he needs to do day in and day out to help us achieve that. So, yeah, look, we could sit here and say, well, he's probably putting too much pressure. I don't see it. When you look at the numbers, he's going to end up with pretty good numbers here. They are bats as of late. I would say probably the last month has been a lot better. Not chasing as much. The power is real. We all seen it. And for us to get to where we want to get, we're going to need him. And I'm pretty confident that he'll get hot here. One of those stretches where he can carry a team for 2 to 3 weeks and is special. So he's in a good place. And again, for him, it's about winning.
Being so close to it, how can you describe what makes Francisco Alvarez catch such a good game? I mean, obviously early in the season, the stats were just over the top and incredible in terms of how much better you guys were when he was behind the plate. What is it about what he does that makes him so effective?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that he does. His preparation is really good. He gets with the pitching coaches and and put together a game plan. He's not afraid to speak up. I got to give the coaches credit, because open to feedback to what Francisco's saying, not only what, the numbers are saying, but then the ability to make adjustments in games. His ability to read swings, his ability to recognize what's working for that pitcher in that particular night and adjust to it, and having those conversations, whether it's in between innings, in the middle of a bat, and he has to adjust. And he makes those guys feel really good about themselves, especially when it could be a struggle that night. He's, giving them conviction. He's saying.
That's a wrap on the show for today. Coming up next, our coverage of the Yankees and Nationals gets underway with Yankees batting practice today. For all of us here on the Michael Kay Show, this is Chris Sheeran saying have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
The Michael Kay Show on Yes is presented by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
The best ideas come from solving common problems. My problem, like a lot of other men, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good untucked. So this became my passion, to design a shirt that captures the perfect balance between length and fit. Easy to say, not that easy to do. But with some innovative design changes, we did it. Our problem, my solution. Untuckit.com.
This is you, and this is your first hunch of the season.
It's parlay time. He's done it again. And the fight for the division title reaches a fever pitch. Witness history unfold on Yes and the Yes app.
Diversity is in our nature. Diverse cultures, identities, skills, and knowledge. Diversity is in nature, too. Biodiversity. Plants, animals, and ecosystems. It connects us and sustains us. But nature's biodiversity is at risk now more than ever before. And our own future is at stake. Because the future is in our hands.
For years, one company has battled to deliver business products the next day with no freight charges. Now, WB Mason, with their famous fleet of trucks and drivers, faces their biggest challenge, rescuing shipping and packaging buyers from expensive freight charges. That's right. Now, boxes, stretch film, and packaging tape are delivered the very next day at amazingly low prices. So, who do you call for fast delivery and no expensive freight charges? Who but WB Mason?
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here, make a statement while barely making a sound, and command the road as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters. Get exceptional offers at your local Audi dealer.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yeah, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Yee! Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
You don't want to miss History on Yes.
Just marvel at what we're witnessing.
Record-setting swings and the Yankees' epic playoff push.
Back to back to back. Oh, ho, ho.
Fever pitch. Witness history unfold on Yes and the Yes app.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Yes.
Superman needs a cape, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. helped find one for Aaron Judge after the captain helped lead the Yanks to another win, this time getting it done with defense. Tonight, the Colt train rolls into D.C., where the ace will look to build on what's been a stellar run of starts. Let's get you ready as the New York Yankees take on the Washington Nationals in a Tuesday night game at Nationals Park in our nation's capital. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Yankees batting practice today, presented by Audi. I'm Chris Sheeran. After taking the series opener against the Nationals yesterday, the Yankees are tied for the most wins in the majors, and their lead over the Baltimore Orioles for first place in the American League East is the biggest it's been since June 25th. Tonight, they'll try to win their third straight series. So let's get right to the lineups. For the Nationals, C.J. Abrams leads off and plays short. Then it's James Wood in left field. Since July 1st, the rookie has a .382 on-base percentage, which ranks 4th in the National League. Dylan Cruz drops to 7th for his second big league game, and Joey Gallo bats 8th and plays first. The Yankees, meanwhile, have already scored more runs this season than all of last year, and Aaron Judge is a big reason why. Over the last 103 games, he leads the majors in batting average, homers, ribbies, extra base hits, and OPS. Down in the 9th spot, DJ LeMahieu has 6 homers off tonight's National starter Patrick Corbin, most off of any pitcher in his career. From the bottom of the lineup to the top for some batting practice inside Nationals Park, leadoff hitter Gleyber Torres is riding a 6-game hitting streak during which he's batting close to 400 with a couple of home runs. And speaking of homers, no long ball last night for Giancarlo Stanton, but he's right at home in D.C. His 22 homers at Nationals Park are the most all-time by a visiting player, as he's been haunting them since his Miami days. And then there's Aaron Judge, who collected his 1,000th hit last night. Just under 31% of Judge's career hits have been homers, which trails only Mark McGwire in Major League history. Last night, Austin Wells connected for his 10th home run, joining Gary Sanchez, Yogi Berra, and Bill Dickey as Yankees catchers to hit double-digit homers in their rookie seasons. Jose Trevino gets the start behind the plate tonight, but in our Toyota quote of the day, Aaron Boone was asked if there's more playing time coming Wells' way.
He'll play tomorrow against the lefty, and then we'll have all righties. But, yeah, I mean, he's playing against lefties, but the other guy's really good, too. Trevy's, you know, an all-star level catcher, and you know, he's going to play some too, so I feel like we're just in great hands with the position.
That just pure splits, like it seems like Gore tomorrow is a little bit more neutral lefties.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Like I'll pick the day where, you know, if we're going through a stretch, you know, like here, 3 splits, I may pick the biggest one. A lot of it's around it. You know, day game after a night game. A lot of it, you know, like go back a week, you know, I think Austin played like 3 out of 4, and then the day game's the better matchup, so I'll sit him the night game, those kind of things. So it's just trying to piece that together as best we can. But again, with both guys, feel like we're in great hands.
Do you think Bryce has been better than his numbers would say this month?
Yeah, no doubt. I think he struggled a little bit, which is, you know, part of it, not just for a young player, but for every player. But yeah, I definitely think he's been a little better than what his numbers would suggest.
When you know that Rizzo is starting to get closer, do you have a plan for that? Are you looking at?
No, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, you know, we've got a number of guys that are, you know, looking like they're getting close to return. Anthony, one of those guys. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
How close is he?
We'll see. He's back. He's DHing tonight. We'll see about tomorrow if he's DHing again or the field. So